Directing traffic, gonna go deep, has a man deep, it is caught for the touchdown, Corey Davis!
What does he do? Attacks leverage. If he's outside leverage, he doesn't want you to beat him outside. So stem towards him, hold him outside, stamp outside. Drive face, full cell vertical, get into the blind spot, and he absolutely burns him. Corner is lost. He literally has no idea where Wilson is.
Really high floor, really high ceiling. We could be talking about the best corner in the league. Sauce can do that.
This is actual film. This is actual football talk. It's a football show. We're supposed to talk football, not storylines.
And you are listening/watching, or watching/listening, I would guess I should say, Kyle, to another edition of Blewett's Blitz, featuring one Mr. Kyle Smith. Kyle, what is up, man?
Not too much, Joe. The school year has finally started. Just finished some lovely days of professional development. Thank God that's over now, and looking forward to Sunday, man.
Are you?
Yeah, I liked your tweet that you sent that you need tailgating or something like that. You can't wait for it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Even though the Jets have taken a little bit of the wins out of our sails, maybe the last couple of days. I don't know how you feel about it, but we're going to get into some of that because I've personally been pretty annoyed with how the Jets have handled a few things. Just as a fan, it's been kind of bugging me. I've seen it all throughout Twitter. I don't know if you've seen the firestorm on Twitter the Jets are coming under right now.
I saw a little bit of it, not too much.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we want to get into that now. I'm going to say hello to a few people. Obviously, we started about 10 minutes early just because of the fact that Kyle has to leave at 8, and we want to be able to get out a good amount of topics before we have to leave and watch the Bills hopefully get beat down by the Rams. I don't know if you have any fantasy implications, Kyle, but I have some minor ones, which comes from being in 6 leagues that I am. So maybe you have to cut down on the.
How many did you do last year?
6. I have to cut down on one. It's just I'm in one work league from the one work I was in, another work league, 2 JetX leagues, and then one for Vinny, who Vinny, and one from Tom. So I don't or not Tom, Vinny, and this kid Parker. You don't know Parker, but plenty to talk about. I have a bunch of jumbled notes of what has been the last couple of days for the Jets because it's been a little bit messy. I do think there's a big Jets fan who might live near me and watches the show. I don't know if any of you guys drives a white Dodge Ram with some Star Wars stickers on the back, but if you do, I see you quite often. I'm always looking in. I'm like, I wonder if that's Steven or one of these freaking people who are saying they live around me. But Mets 2-game streak. We have now we have the game tonight. Obviously, you're going to watch with your brother, right? Are you secretly rooting for the Rams? Or are you not secretly rooting for the Rams? Are you wearing an Aaron Donald jersey?
Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of root for the Rams because obviously it's good for the Jets. I mean, it's pretty unrealistic for the Jets to win the division this year, but stranger things have happened. I mean, who the hell thought the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl last year and actually come close to winning it? When you looked at the fact that Burrow tore his ACL the previous year and they won barely any games and their head coach had an absolutely atrocious record through his first 2 seasons. So stranger things can happen. I'm going to be rooting for the Rams, although out of all the teams in the division, in terms of dislike, I dislike the Bills the least. I definitely dislike the Patriots more and definitely dislike the Dolphins more than the Bills. Even though I have a brother who's a big Bills fan, who throughout the years has, could be a jerk at times and rub some things in my face and stuff. But anyway, how could you be a Jets fan and not be rooting for the Rams tonight?
Yeah, exactly. And I have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in our big league. I think in the Dynasty League, I'm actually playing you, and I have
you have Herbert in the Dynasty League.
Herbert. I know I have Stephon Diggs, but nonetheless, we had our fantasy draft, which was fun. We didn't do anything with the pick'ems, Kyle. So I'll throw this out a couple of times during it. We didn't pick anybody for them. I think we have a stock. We have a stock 5 of us or 6 of us. So 4 or 5 spots, let's say, let's open up to pick'ems. There's really nothing to it. Really, the only thing that you're going to hear about the pick'ems is, Kyle, maybe we'll move it over to live streams where at the end of the stream, we'll pick 4 or 5 games just so we can have a little bit of discourse about the games, go over the standings. I think that'll be fun instead of me doing it solo. And whoever wins, let's say, what are we going to give somebody? A free year subscription to JetX and a shirt from the store or something like that? Does that sound good?
You still owe me a shirt. You guys still owe me a shirt.
Well, you're on back. They're on back order, Kyle. You know, you're pushed down the the list a little bit.
I wanted 2 years in a row. It took me a long time to get the first shirt, and I'm still waiting on that second one.
Yeah, it's just the fact that we didn't really want to screw with the Jets with like any like obviously like merchandise type deal, so we kind of just canceled the store for now. It's something we're going to do in the future, but we still have some of the shirts, so I could send some people some pictures of what they were or send you some links to what they were, and a shirt and a free year we'll do. So if there's 6 people who weekly will answer to an email, I'm going to send you 5 or 6 games. You just pick the game, whoever finishes with the best record, free year. A shirt, maybe we'll send Kyle 2 shirts because he doesn't need the subscription. Let's say hello to a couple people before we get.
Apparently, I need the shirts though. After I got clowned so much last week.
Well, you know the funny thing is, I noticed right off the jump on the stream, Kyle, you're wearing a much nicer shirt where it's it's a much more tight collar. And the first thing you did pre-show, or maybe even during the whole intro, was you drank water, which I haven't seen you do in like 4 years. So.
I was actually taking my vitamins, Joe. I rushed on to get on here. Today's been quite the busy day.
Yeah, so anyway. let's say hello to a few people, then we're gonna get into the whole Jets fiasco right now. I want to remain as calm as I possibly can about it. I just feel like it's a lot of stupidity, which we'll get into with the Jets, where they consistently, just for lack of a better term, step on their own dicks, and it drives me absolutely crazy when they can just not lie initially. But we'll get into that in a second. So, what's up, Steven? What's up, Justin Sanders? What's up, Nathan? Nick, Steven again, Afram. We had Dwayne Brown comment here, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a little bit, Kyle, the whole Dwayne Brown thing of moving AVT to tackle, or what they should have done at tackle, or what they didn't do at tackle, or excusing Joe Douglas or not excusing Joe Douglas. We'll get into our thoughts on that because we've been pretty steadfast in our opinion about the whole tackle position for probably, 6 months now. So we'll get into that. What's up? Talking Jets with Tigo. Lloyd Gross, big shout out to Kyle J. Smith for skipping 9th grade girls basketball practice 2 weeks in a row. Any comments on that, Kyle?
I started smiling as soon as I saw it.
Let's see. Gustavo Flores, the problem with the Jets is and has been the offensive tackles and defense. Prove it to me. We'll get into that. Fellas, real football is back. Bob Plain, JETS, all gas, no break, which, listen, with a lot of the stuff that's coming out about the Jets and kind of how Sal is stepping on himself, stepping on his own words, this all gas, no break stuff, and the whole 60% thing that Kyle doesn't love, they better show up, because if
you don't like it either.
Dude, if they come out and get smacked in the face and they're lifeless, there's gonna be some issues. I'm telling you right now, because it to a certain extent, it's fun when the play backs it up. But if they come out flat and they're getting blown out in multiple games like it was last year, listen, we excused it last year. We're okay. The new defense, they're being simple. They're trying to implement the defense for years to come, and then they'll get more complex, all this stuff. This is year 2. They have the talent. They've been here for 2 years. If they come out flat and are getting blown out like they did against the Colts or the Broncos or the Pats or any one of these teams, it's going to get real. It's going to get a lot less cute real quick. They have to, even if they are 7-10, the worst case scenario is 6 wins. Anything less than 6 wins, people's heads got to roll. I'm still thinking it's 7. But if you're talking about getting 5, 6, 7 wins and you're getting blown out all the time with the talent on this team, there's no more excuse, or at least there's no more excuse to not be competitive with this team, right? So,
yeah, when you're talking about blowouts, I remember, like Wade Phillips, he wasn't the best head coach in the world. Certainly a really great defensive coordinator. But I mean, like, he went 13-3 one year as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Mm-hmm. And just a couple seasons later, I remember it was a blowout loss against Green Bay on, I think it was Monday Night Football or possibly Sunday Night Football, and he was gone. The couple blowout losses, man, people turn on you quick. And this is the second year, right? I mean, like, the Jets spend a lot of money, a lot of draft capital. If you're getting blown out, I mean, those excuses start to dry up really quick.
Yeah, for sure. And especially when you've had an offseason to address a few of the issues, like you're talking about some of the defensive line, and I get, we talked about them kind of bringing in Jordan Whitehead and all this stuff. But Kyle, listen, like, at a certain point in the stream, we're going to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty against the Ravens and look at their depth chart and kind of talk about the matchup. And we're going to have to kind of exploit some of the Jets' holes in terms of how the Ravens are going to attack us. We're talking about the team, running game, linebackers, etc. We'll get into all that in a little bit, but I'm excited. I'm just cautiously optimistic, or I'm precautious. Is that a word? I guess, because
cautiously optimistic.
Listen, cautiously optimistic. That's what I was looking for, because we've been basically shit on by the Jets for how many years now? Like there's legitimate reason to be excited with Joe Douglas and all the stuff that's going on. The Jets definitely didn't leave the best taste in our mouth the last couple of days going into the season, which I guess we can get into right now. But listen, prove it to me. Last year I was excited going into week 2 or even week 1 against the Panthers. Okay, rough game, lack of communication, but they still competed with the Panthers. They came back. Okay, fine. I get it. Away game. They made it somewhat interesting at the end. Week 2, not so much. That stadium was ready to explode. You go into there and we get our shit kicked in. And by the second quarter, we're already like, this is dumb. And I saw stuff on Twitter. It's like, dude, I just want the Jets to be competitive. Not even people talking about the playoffs, all that stuff. What about in just September? Like last year getting blown out versus the Broncos in the Pats week 2 and 3, or sorry, Pats and Broncos week 2 and 3.
And they actually managed to make Sam Darnold look not bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Christian McCaffrey helped a lot with that. And then obviously people were talking him up. And then as soon as McCaffrey goes out, Sam Darnold looks like the real Sam Darnold. We saw that one coming, but nonetheless, Kyle, let's just get into the solid stuff really quick, or not even really quick. We can head on it for a little bit. It's part of the reason we started a little bit early, but what do you think about this whole situation? Eagle Fang, who's obviously one of our big listeners, keeps saying gaslighting. I'm not sure, like, is gaslighting like basically like people throwing flames on the fire or like gas in the fire? Is that what that is? Because I see the term gaslighting all the time. I'm not a big like news guy up to date.
So all right, so gaslighting comes from this really old movie. It's like a 1940s movie or whatever, where they have this like abusive husband, and he basically is like tricking his wife that she's like crazy, that she's like insane. So like he like turns on the lights and stuff and he's making her think it's all in her head type of thing. So the term comes from that film. So like when you gaslight somebody, it's like you're making them feel like they're crazy and it's not something that you're actually doing. That's, if that makes any sense. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. So overall, what are your thoughts of this whole thing, Kyle? Because like, and I don't want to talk about it forever, but the fact that we're not like this roller coaster of the last 3-4 weeks has been crazy. Obviously Beckman goes down. Okay. We kind of not necessarily assume that, but we had that in our back of our minds that can possibly happen. No big deal. It happens. You signed Dwayne Brown, you get over it. And then Zach Wilson, for that day period, whatever it was, we thought we would have lost our quarterback for the entire year. Then we have the Flacco arguments, all this stuff. We think he's going to come back. They say, I believe it was 4 to 6 weeks initially. So we say, okay, week 2, 3, maybe 4, he comes back. I think most fans are probably around like week 2 or 3. I think the general consensus would say about that time, and then the Jets come out and say, well, maybe he could play. It just depends on this workout on Wednesday. That if he comes out and he, or not this workout, and then I believe the results are on Wednesday. If he responds well to that workout, he can play. And then we go from waiting for that. I'm literally doing the Dwayne Brown show, like refreshing my Twitter timeline, looking for the report about Sam Darnold, because I honestly believe there's like 90% chance he wouldn't play, but the Jets gave me that 10%. So I'm getting excited. Okay. At least if he doesn't play week 1, Kyle, he'll play week 2. We can get excited about it. No. Saleh comes out.
I was thinking week 3 was going to be his return date. It's a home game against the Bengals, who in my opinion don't have the best defense in the world. Okay. That's what I was thinking the return date was going to be.
But no, Kyle, the Jets want to step on their own dicks. They want to come out and they're going to say, listen, or Saleh comes out, listen, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Getting all like almost like frustrated with the media, which I'm happy with the media going at him and saying, I don't want to talk about it. Week 4 against Pittsburgh is the earliest, Kyle, the earliest. And listen, with the Jets' injury history and how they've handled injuries and how they've done all this, where a week injury could be 8 weeks at this point. Dwayne Brown is getting evaluated. He can be out for half a season. I have no idea. Them putting the terminology earliest into there, 1, scared the shit out of me, but 2, why did you even excite us and say maybe it was week 1? Is it for gamesmanship for the Ravens? Like they're fucking losing their shit over preparing for Joe Flacco or Zach Wilson? Like, and even if you are okay, just trying to do it with the Ravens, like you're gonna push it 3 weeks now. Like it went from maybe playing Sunday to now 3 weeks where he's not gonna play when you see Joe Flacco, and he does not give us a better chance than Zach Wilson. If he does, I'm sorry, then Zach Wilson is just not the answer. Like it just drove me absolutely crazy that he lied about it, got mad about that he got caught in his lie, and then said, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it." And I'm happy the media kind of hammered him because he looked like a complete buffoon.
Yeah, you can even tell. Like, I guess I have a pretty good radar of when people are kind of bullshitting and stuff. And I remember just watching that press conference thing. He's like, "Yep, he might have a chance to play or whatever." And like, you could just see the bullshit like coming off of his face. And the only thing I could think of is it's just a matter of gamesmanship. It's the first game of the year. It's against a pretty tough opponent, and you can play this game a little bit more because you haven't played any games yet this season, right? versus like if it was week 1 to week 2, it'd be a little bit harder to play this game. That's the only thing I can think of that he would do that. But then the timeline is quite strange. Okay, so he has a chance to play midweek, and now all of a sudden it's going to be minimum 3 weeks later. That was really strange. And honestly, like when you think about like how he's handled this injury stuff before, it's like at a certain point in time that starts to rub people in the wrong way. And it's like, was it really worth it to game up for one little game? I don't know,
dude. This fan base we're willing to see it out with some people, but we are impatient and we want to win. And you kind of throwing in our faces and lying to fans and saying, oh, well, no, week 4, I'm pissed off about it. And don't ask me questions. It just looked like such a bad, he was caught in a lie, dude. And it's because Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson comes out and says, personally, he asked when he knew he'd missed 3 games. And Wilson said, since I walked out of surgery. And then he later backtracked because he was trying to cover for Saleh. Like, what is the point of lying to everybody with this Saleh and then getting mad about it? It looks so bad. And just my advice to any coach, any GM, just don't fuck with this fan base because we will rip your heads off. We haven't won in so long. We're so freaking angry. And you do this shit, it looks really bad. And there is the rumors out there, which I don't even think, if it ever got uncovered to be this, it would be absolutely dreadful. But like ticket sales, were they trying to get people to buy games for week 1, week 3? They didn't want to disclose the injury, and now that it's coming up, they kind of had to again backtrack. Like, is it possible that they actually did this for ticket sales? Because I'm telling you right now, if there's ever an expose where Saleh gets fired and he has texts from Woody saying to do this, whatever, because of ticket sales, I would pretty much go and tailgate. I would get fucked up in the parking lot, and I'd watch the game in the parking lot. I would not go in that building. I couldn't support them like that. So,
aren't you still paying for the parking pass though?
Well, it's on Tom's bus technically, and Tom wouldn't go, so I would not be paying for a parking ticket. Technically,
I didn't know Tom owned that bus. I thought it was somebody else's.
It's Tom's dad's bus. So,
okay, gotcha.
It's Tom's, and then eventually, obviously, once he kicks the can, it'll be mine and Tom's. He gave us 50-50 responsibility of the bus, so eventually it'll be half mine, but. It's just a bad look, dude. There's no point in lying to the fan base.
It's a bad look. And listen, you want to know. All right. So obviously everyone talks about how tough the New York media is. And there's no doubt that like the media can help sow discord amongst a team, right? Like there's players read headlines, players read stories, players listen to podcasts. Even if they say they don't, they do, right? Think about how many players quote tweet, tweets from beat reporters and things like that. And they might not quote tweet it all the time, but if they're not quote tweeting it, they're still reading it. All right. So obviously reporters can sow seeds of discord. Now the thing is when you're in a tough media like New York, and this is a fan base and a team that's been clowned so much throughout the years, you got to play this game a little bit carefully. And think about like now someone like Bill Belichick, it's really interesting to see how he handles the media. The media is petrified by him because he's earned that level of respect. His rings speak for itself. The Jets don't have that luxury. So the media is not going to come at them or they're going to come at them much more harder than they would with someone like Belichick. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if this whole gamesmanship was worth all this.
No, but if anything, you can delay it a little bit. Like listen, even if it was the entire situation where he said, oh, well, there's a potential he plays on Sunday. There's it's not a high percentage chance, but we're going to test out the knee and see. And they come out and say, okay, well, he's not going to play this week. We're comfortable with Flacco. We've been game planning with Flacco. He's going to play week 2. Okay, I understand that. But why bullshit us? And now it's 3 weeks. Like if it was just a 1 week, I get it. Because that's what you were kind of telling us. But to say maybe Sunday to no, it's 3 weeks, but there was no setback. So you were clearly lying. And it's just not a smart thing to do with the fan base. A lot of them. Now, is it? And somebody brought up in the chat. Like, is it him having his hands tied with Woody Johnson? Is Woody Johnson meddling in this because of those ticket sales? And is he trying to play the nice guy and again get butts in the seats? Like I don't know what's going on, but again, it's not a good look. And for me, the all gas, no brakes, the lying about injuries, all this stuff is going to again hit ahead if they don't start at least competing in games or getting blown out. Because it's I like Saleh a lot, but now just recently, let's say he's leveling out a little bit. Maybe stock is dropping a little bit in my book. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, winning can cure all that. And in terms of whether or not Woody is pulling some strings back there, I wouldn't be surprised, right? When you think about owners that are really involved in football operations, obviously Jerry Jones is number one. for a long time. What's it, Dan Snyder for the Washington football team, the Commanders now. It's hard to think of too many more that might be more involved than Woody Johnson throughout the years. And it's never good. I mean, Woody is clearly not a football guy, right? So stay the hell out of like press conferences and how your coach is going to handle the media and all that shit, right?
Yep.
I don't like it. So I wouldn't be surprised with him if that's the case.
Yeah, let's say hello to a little bit. Unless you have anything else more to add.
No.
Again, I don't want to
talk to the chat.
Again, I think you kind of has to at this point prove it a little bit, which we'll get into about the game. There's no coming out flat. There's lying to the media is just never a good idea. But nonetheless, sneakers to boots, fellas, real football is back. Obviously, we are excited for that, Kyle. J1. Obviously, that's where I'll be. I know Kyle's going to be there relatively early as well. I'm going to stick to...
You're trying to get there at 8 o'clock? Is that right?
I get there. I'm in line at 7:50, waiting to unpack the grill and shotgun the first beer. So 8:05 there'll be beer all over my chest because I haven't shotgunned a beer in 9 months, and it's going to be a good time. I know the Ryan and all those guys are doing lot D. I thought it was being lot J or L or whatever it was, and then it's lot D. Kind of change quickly, at least to my knowledge. So I'm gonna stick in lot J where I usually do. I know Tyson is in J21, I believe it is. So I'm gonna make my way over there. He's gonna make his way over to ours for at least a little bit, I believe. So I'll say hello to those guys. But past that, I'm gonna stick in my lot. So anybody's welcome. J1, come. Tailgate. Obviously, it's not like a paid thing. It's not $20, $30, $40 a head. Bring your own food, drink. Have fun. We got cornhole. It'll be a good time. But other than that, yeah, it's not official. So, what's up, Nick's Integra? What's next? We find out Dwayne is out 8 weeks. Yeah, I can see it with his team. Obviously, from being evaluated to out half the season, he'll be back after the bye week. What's up, John? Shella is still available. Sneakers to boot, which we'll talk about in 2 seconds. Actually, let's get into it now, Kyle. So, the entire offseason, we talk about we talk about linebacker versus offensive tackle. We talk about safety versus offensive tackle. And we say, okay, in a vacuum, safety and linebackers might be bigger needs for this team because of the actual, just individually looking at the position. But when you consider that we have a young quarterback, which I know he's not starting for now the first 3 weeks, we thought that tackle depth was absolutely imperative for this team. Okay, they're looking to bring in Dwayne Brown when Mekhi Becton is obviously healthy. That's great. That's a great answer at backup tackle. Morgan Moses, you overpay him a little bit, whatever, or not Morgan Moses. Dwayne Brown, you overpay him a little bit. He's your swing tackle. Awesome job. Mekhi Becton goes down. You sign Dwayne Brown. So that problem still remains where you need a backup tackle. The Jets don't bring a backup tackle. They still have McDermott, who they just signed back, and they cut Donovan Knight, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So is it Max Mitchell, who's going to be starting as a rookie tackle if Dwayne Brown is out? And do you move Fant back to left tackle now? So you move Fant from left tackle to right tackle to left tackle and put a rookie right tackle versus a complex blitz scheme with the Ravens, or do you just put in Connor McDermott at left tackle, who's one of the worst tackles I've ever seen play football? And that's going to be running out there because, the Jets signed Dwayne Brown. They didn't have enough time to adjust and sign another tackle. Like you plan for this shit all offseason. They had plenty of weeks to sign another guy. So don't give me the excuse of, they signed a backup tackle for depth or whatever. That was Dwayne Brown. No, they signed Dwayne Brown to be a starter and they still haven't addressed the depth. They've had 2-3 weeks. There's no excuse right now to, now we're fumbling and it's going to be Connor McDermott, potentially starting, because if he takes meaningful reps and he gets somebody injured, I'm going to lose my mind because it's just some of the worst management of that position that Joe Douglas has had, where a lot of the moves I agree with. 90% of what he does, I agree with Kyle. Last year, what was it? It was backup quarterback and tight end. There were non-negotiables how bad he handled those. This year, we liked.
You also had a problem with how he handled kicker in years past.
Okay, yeah. So kicker, but obviously more importantly, backup quarterback and tight end. This year, we liked everything he did. We liked a lot of the draft picks. We liked a lot of the free agent signings. We liked the waiver wire pickups. We like a lot of the stuff he does. But the one thing we said non-negotiable was to have a capable backup tackle for this team, and they don't at this point, unless Max Mitchell is going to come out and just ball out. But the fact that it is potentially McDermott right now is driving me crazy because there's guys out there like Eric Fisher, like Brandon Shell, like Darrell Williams, who people say, they're still out there. They're not that good. They are better than Connor McDermott. Trust me. So I don't know what's going on with the backup tackle position right now.
Yeah, so I replied on one of your tweets earlier this morning, and you were talking about McDermott, and I said, yeah, he's bottom of the barrel, because you keep tweeting like this like screenshot of all these tackles that are available. And yeah, some of them might be older and they might be banged up and have some injuries and stuff, but I even if they do have injuries, I cannot believe that they're worse than Connor McDermott. I mean, when you think about all the bad right tackles that the Jets have had over the years, Breno Giacomini, Shell, Wayne Hunter, some names that come to mind. I mean, they're all like decently better than Connor McDermott. It's like he's that bad. Like he's one of these guys who he comes in and he's probably going to give up a sack in like maybe like the first 6-7 pass rush reps. It's really bad. You know, and the thing about that too is sometimes like when you come in relief duty, sometimes you can have it's almost like an advantage to tackle in a way, because the pass rusher is not studying your tendencies. They're studying the starter's tendencies. So you almost have like kind of like a leg up. But anyway, yeah, he's really bad. So you don't want to see him starting out there, but at the same time, you want to put Max Mitchell out there, especially when you talk about like, you know, Max Mitchell, you know, you're a guy who you like his film. He plays smart. He plays with, you know, a good amount of aggression. He's tough. But one of the knocks on him was he needs to get a little bit stronger. Okay. Well, he hasn't had time to get stronger yet. Right. So, and he's still going to be a rookie. So his head's still going to be swimming a little bit. So you're throwing him out there week one. Yeah. So not, and then the Fant thing. Okay. If you switch Fant back to left tackle, Fant's been very vocal about how it's not so easy to transition, even though he has been a player who's played on both sides and played on both sides pretty well. You could tell that Fant is not necessarily a fan of the movement. And then you got to also think too, not only is it not good from just a schematic standpoint or play standpoint, what's that going to do for contract negotiations with Fant? Right? Like, is he, you know, this team clearly doesn't value me one way. They keep moving me all over the place when I know that I'm better on one side. Is he going to be less likely to want to re-sign with the Jets? All something to consider.
Yeah, you're like I said, you're moving Fant from left tackle, or from initially signing him from left tackle to right tackle to left tackle. Then this offseason, from not knowing from left tackle to right tackle to left tackle. You have AVT, who was a left guard. Now you're moving him to right guard. You have Dwayne Brown, who comes in, doesn't have a lot of time to gel with the offensive line. He misses 2 practices, which obviously isn't great. And obviously he's a changed piece to the offensive line. Like, how many pieces are you going to change around right now? So again, ideally, they sign an Eric Fisher type player. Are they going to do it now? Probably not. Why the hell are they sitting?
I mean,
on
they do have the
their
cap
hands
space
and-
now. They do have the cap space now, but the problem is, okay, you sign someone like him, the curve to learn the playbook and stuff is not going to be. He's a crafty veteran. All right, so it's not going to be that severe, but still, it's still a problem signing him this late and expecting him to be the peak of what he's going or what he could be. I'm curious, do you have more information than I do on the Dwayne Brown shoulder thing? I heard like his status for Sunday is in doubt, but I don't know much more other than that.
I don't trust anything with the Jets coaching staff in terms of the injury stuff they put out. So evaluating his shoulder could be that he's not playing for a month. Like, I don't know. Right now he's not practicing, and you're not practicing on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday. And you're talking about a team again who hasn't gelled a lot. So like, you could look at it like, oh, maybe it's a veteran rest day. I severely doubt, with how much the lack of continuity this offensive line has, that they would do that. They're probably wanting him to practice. So him not practicing on Thursday is pretty severe for a game on Sunday. So it's definitely in doubt, which again, starting a guy in Max Mitchell, who's a rookie, and maybe he is progressing nicely. We don't want to throw him in against the Baltimore freaking Ravens week 1, or Connor McDermott, who's objectively the worst tackle I've ever seen play in my entire life. So the way they botched this was, again, don't give me the excuse of, oh, they only had 2-3 weeks. You have 2-3 weeks. That's plenty of time to get a guy on the phone and sign him for $5, $6, $7 million. Like you said, they just created cap space, and I get they created some cap space just to carry into the season because they had like negative $3 million. And now they have like 12 plus or whatever it is, and you need some money for in-season cost. But don't tell me there's not a tackle out there you could sign for $5, $6 million. That will be more competent than Connor McDermott, which is very, very easy, Kyle. Any one of these guys, you can pull up the list. People are asking me for names on Twitter. Oh, well, who would it be? I don't care. Pull up the list. Brandon Shell, obviously Eric Fisher. You have Darrell Williams. You have Bobby Massey's out there. You have Brian Beluga. You could throw him out there with probably no arms and still be better than Connor McDermott. Like, how is Connor McDermott on this team? Like, is the favoritism, and maybe it's the stubbornness of Joe Douglas to kind of get like attached to some of these players, whether it be an Ashton Davis or Connor McDermott. Now, Ashton Davis, okay, he has some athletic upside. Connor McDermott, there is no upside there. He's just bad. There's no athleticism. There's no nothing. He's shown absolutely no flashes. So if he sees reps, it's a stain on Douglas. And listen, again, I like 95% of what I see from Douglas. This is that 5%. The tight end position last year, the quarterback position last year in terms of not bringing a vet, the kicker positions in years past, and the backup tackle position this year. Again, he signed Dwayne Brown to be a starter. He wasn't signed as a backup, and then Becton got injured 3 days before the season, and he's left kind of fumbling. He had plenty of time to sign a backup tackle in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So,
what the hell? Yeah. And so I couldn't help but not to keep reiterating the same point, but in terms of McDermott, why does he keep sticking around? The only thing I can think of is, he's very coachable. And the players, like, he's a kiss ass to maybe some of the coaching staff and management and some of the players on the team. And I think it's also being a little bit of a cheapskate too, where you're not going to get someone like Eric Fisher unless you're paying him a decent penny. Just like Dwayne Brown, you weren't going to get him unless you paid him a decent penny. And I'm not saying that you got to pay Eric Fisher the same that you paid Dwayne Brown, but I think part of it's being a little bit of a cheapskate. So Verge Tibbs commented on our last stream, and he said that, when you guys brought up that the fact that McDermott's a kiss ass and all this kind of stuff, and he was bringing up the Giants preseason game, and McDermott was in the press box with Zach Wilson, just like he was constantly always around Josh Allen when he was in Buffalo.
Yeah, again, and that's that, and it would still be a stain on Joe Douglas. Whatever the reason would be, he has to be able to look at him on the field and say, this guy is dreadful. Like, we have to get rid of him. I don't care how much of a kiss ass he is, So let's return to the chat a little bit, Kyle. What's up, Art? LT Mike. They need depth at offensive tackle, 100%. Al, can you dress up for left tackle?
I would be worse than Connor McDermott for sure.
And Nick Allen, I could hear Joe yell and McDermott. I cannot believe he got, like, it's the anger kind of dissipates after days of letting it settle in. It is just a joke that he is brought back. And the fact that you cut Bam Knight, and now, again, like with the running back position, it's another thing. Like, I maybe getting rid of Tevin Coleman, because maybe Ty Johnson has the physical upside. Maybe if you can teach him to be a third down back, okay, all that, whatever, I understand. But with that being said, that would be more like the fourth running back over Bam Knight. Like, we liked what we saw of him in preseason. We liked what we saw of him from special teams, and now they cut him. Did they even bring him back to the practice squad? I didn't even see anything about the practice squad with him. So you cut him for Ty Johnson, who, again, watching what we have the last couple of years of Ty Johnson, he's objectively terrible, like, or objectifiably terrible. I'm tripping over my words tonight because I don't know what's going on, Kyle, with having Ty Johnson on this roster over Bam Knight, over Tevin Coleman, who, to me, Tevin Coleman is at least a Jag. Like, he's at least a rosterable player, where I don't think Ty Johnson should be on a roster, at least the Jets roster. I much rather have Coleman and what's his face over him, Bam Knight. So I don't know what's going on with that either.
Yeah, Ty Johnson doesn't really give you anything. Like, when you think about him, what's anything that he does well? I can't really think of.
I would say the only thing he does well is lower his shoulder and truck guys over for a yard or two. That's about it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, Tevin Coleman, like, one thing you could say about him is he has a lot of familiarity in the scheme, and he still has some juice in him. Like, he still has some breakaway speed. Like, It's not like Ty Johnson. Does he have any big runs in his career as a Jet? I mean, like, I know he's got a couple big receptions. I'm thinking about, like, the one in the Colts game last year. But I kind of think it was more bad defense than anything. I don't think he did anything super impressive on that play. But, like, Tevin Coleman, like I said, there was probably about 4 or 5 runs last year where he's just like a little ankle tackle away from breaking like a 20, 30 plus yard run. So, I mean, yeah, I don't quite get it. I mean, other than the fact that you're going to save probably a little bit of money with Ty Johnson as opposed to Tevin Coleman, and Tevin Coleman's always hurt and he's older. Those are the only things I can think of.
What's up?
But you're banking on upside with Ty Johnson, which I don't really know that he has any. I mean, I know he runs a fast 40 and I know he benches a good amount for his weight, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't really translate to the field. Jan, thank
Jan,
you so much for
appreciate the
super chat.
$10. Appreciate the $10 super chat. JTS just ended the season. I'm so black pilled on this team right now. I don't know. Black
pilled, meaning he meant to write pilled, meaning that he's like hopeless. Like when you're black pilled, you're not seeing the positivity in things versus white pilled. You're very optimistic.
Are you black pilled, Kyle? Or are you going into, let's say, Kyle from 2 months ago, before the Becton stuff, before the Zach stuff? Like, are you going in a little bit more black pilled? Like, how are you going?
No, I'm not black pilled yet
on Sunday.
I'm not black pilled yet, dude. If Zach went down for the year, I'd be pretty black pilled, but he didn't.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm still really optimistic about what they can do. There's a lot of key young pieces around on this team, and I'm still not. I like the verdict is still out on the coaching too, so it's hard for me to be black pilled. But shit. I mean, I'm certainly not necessarily white pilled or clear pilled as Graham Cracker is saying.
I'm gonna walk in to the tailgate, or we're gonna park. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna play some pong. I'm gonna destroy some people in cornhole, which I'll be a little bit rusty because I haven't played in a little bit, but nonetheless, I'll bounce back. As soon as I park my ass in that seat, it's up for the Jets to prove it to me. If they're competitive in that game, great. If I go there for a home opener and they're getting blown out, the black pill will definitely start to roll in a lot faster than it should, because we've been hurt before, Kyle.
Yeah, Blewett's definitely more black pilled when he's got some alcohol in him. I'll say that.
Yeah, it'll get bad. We'll see what happens. And with the game, I might do like a stream on like Monday. I took off that day, so maybe I'll like do like a Monday quick recap thoughts live stream with you guys. I don't know, but I can guarantee my voice is gonna be gone because it always is during intros. I legitimately can't talk the next day. And I believe we're sitting on the lower bowl, which I don't necessarily love. Vinny kind of just bought the tickets, but we're sitting like right where I think it's 123. I think that's where the Jets run out of the tunnel, like right there, corner end zone, like row 14, I think 123. So
that kind of
see me. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's more atmosphere where I like to see more of the game. Where from there, I'm not going to be really like able to see a lot of the game. Like we went there for the Titans game when they won. It was a really fun game, but you can't really make out exactly what's happening all the time, which I don't necessarily love. And I ran into one of the listeners who was sitting like 4 rows behind me. And that's the game where Tom gets kicked out. I'm like, dude, we look like such. I wasn't a douche, but Tom was definitely a big douche that game. And he gets kicked out of the game. And like, guy who listens like 4 rows behind me is like, yikes.
By the way, speaking of listeners, shout out to the dude in Carolina that recognized you.
I don't remember what guy.
You don't remember that? Well, I don't remember his name, but we were in Carolina. We were heading up to our seats, and he's X Factor.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have some more friendly faces at the tailgate this week. Again, I don't know where people are going to be, but I hope to run into somebody or some people. I know that I think Ryan's going to stop by J1 too for a little bit, but like D is like all the way. Like I think you have to walk through that. I don't know what it's called, like that overpass tunnel thing, whatever that is, to get to D. So I'm not going from J all the way, walking like halfway across the stadium and then walking through a tunnel thing to get to D. I'm just not doing it. J is my spot. So if they were close to J, I would rock it with a lot close to J, whether it be like LM, but not all the way in D. There's no way. So let's go through the chat a little bit, Kyle, before we get into some other stuff. Why is the staff cynical liars about injuries in the timeline? Yeah, we got into that. I don't know. I think it's probably at the end of the day, it's Robert Saleh just playing the eternal optimist and not giving us the truth. And it's like annoying when he goes into these interviews too, Kyle, and you hear him say, "Oh, well, that's up for the doctors. The doctors know more about it. The doctors know more about it." When damn well he's sitting in those meetings with the doctors, he knows exactly what's going on, but to just deflect to the doctors all the time pisses me off a little bit too. Acting like we're dumb. He has no idea what he's talking about. Defer to the doctors. You're sitting there for 2-3 hours. And like, how do injuries just like magically pop up with this team too? Like, oh, he's fine. Oh, now it's 3 weeks. Like it is crazy.
The whole day, the Dwayne Brown thing is really puzzling to me. That's what I was wondering today. Okay. Did he get hurt in practice? Did he play in the Giants game? I'm trying to remember.
Who?
Dwayne Brown. Did he play in the Giants preseason game?
Yeah.
Okay. So did he get hurt in that game? Or was this an injury that he had that the Jets staff didn't diagnose? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm wondering because if he had this injury and they signed him for a pretty decent contract and they didn't know about it, then shame on them.
Mm-hmm. BKK, whatever, says keep that same energy if we win games while he's out, which again, I said, if Max Mitchell comes out and balls out, great. But then still the process of having McDermott as your backup to Max Mitchell, there's no way McDermott's playing well if it is Max Mitchell who's starting. So the process is still bad. So, process versus result stuff, Kyle, we are heavily process, and the process of this entire thing, even if it does work out, is not good. We cannot just, even if a rookie offensive tackle is playing well in camp, I'm not putting him as a primary backup or a starter at this point with Dwayne Brown out or potentially out. So I will keep that same energy. Obviously, I have a live stream, and there are hundreds of people who watch this or thousands of people who watch this, so I'll have to eat crow. But the process will never be good to me, even if it does work out, right? So I don't know. Let's keep moving on. We'll talk about another injury, I guess, while I kind of scroll through the chat a little bit and see what people are saying. I'm gonna try my best to stay up a little bit more on it today, even though it's not gonna work out. But another injury, which I don't even know if he practiced today or what the practice report was, but in general, DJ Reed is another guy who's been battling a hamstring. Oh, we're going to wait a week. Oh, we're going to wait 2 weeks. Oh, he's going to play in this preseason game. Oh, he doesn't play in the preseason game. Doesn't play in week 2. Doesn't play in week 3. Now he's still on the injury report with the hamstring. Are we concerned about a DJ Reed hamstring all year? Because this is one of those injuries that lingers all season, with these hamstrings. So are we concerned about both him missing potentially week 1 and battling this the entire year?
You have to be. Think about, all right, so Revis, the gold standard season, probably arguably the best season ever by a cornerback, was 2009. Mm-hmm. And then Revis had the holdout 2010 season. And then, some people were speculating that he'd be more likely to get an injury if he wasn't practicing, and then immediately went into game time. And then he hurts his hammy, and that kind of nagged him for a decent part of the 2010 season. And his 2010 season, while it was good, it was really good, it wasn't anywhere near what 2009 was. So, yeah, I mean, hamstring injuries linger, and they're annoying, and especially for a corner. So I think you have to be a little bit concerned, but I don't know. Hopefully he's able to go Sunday, and hopefully it's not as bad, and they've just been, playing it precautious. I hope.
I hope, but unfortunately with the Jets coaching staff and the medical staff, you have absolutely no idea what's going on. So, and it's like one of those things, like as soon as he popped up with the hamstring injury, it was like a month and a half ago. I'm like, yikes. That's one of those things that could really, obviously, it could linger, and I just don't trust their staff. So is he going to be out now week 1, week 2? Does he come back week 2 and flare it up again? Then he's out week 3, 4, 5, 6, and we don't get to see DJ Reed, who we're all pretty excited for. We both had him near our top 10 and our top 25. So we think he's going to be a legitimately good starter for the Jets. And if he's out and you put in, Bryce Hall, obviously this is another reason you don't just get rid of Bryce Hall. Oh, we have a good backup, let's get rid of him. This is exactly why you don't do that. So we'd be relatively comfortable with him coming in, but let's not act like the drop off from Reed to Hall isn't pretty significant, right?
It's definitely significant, especially when you look at the way that Bryce Hall played this preseason. Ooh.
Yeah, not the best, not the best. So let's keep running through the chat, and then we're gonna get into the Ravens game probably like by 7:00. We'll start to talk about the Ravens because I want to finish off with that, and it'll probably take about an hour. We'll recap their roster. We'll recap the Jets roster. Talk about who's starting where. Does Barrios see more reps than Wilson? Does who's starting at the end? Who's starting at the tackle? We know Quentin Williams is starting in there, but who's playing next to him, Kyle? Like we got to talk about that still with this New York Jets team. PCR, what is up? Figures of boots. It just makes no sense. The original prognosis from all the Twitter doctors was ACL. And it looked at Salah coming out and saying he won't start until Steelers from beginning is a win. Yeah, again, and you have Zach Wilson coming out and saying since pretty much the time of the injury, he knew that he was going to be out for at least the first 3 weeks or whatever. Exactly what the quote was, but he knew it originally. Why lie? Did they really have to plan for? Are the Ravens shaking in their boots if it's going to be Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco? Like they're smart. They're going to plan for both either way, right?
It just reminds me of draft season. They call it draft season, especially right around the time, like a week, 2 weeks before the draft comes up. You hear all these crazy rumors about what team's willing to trade up and what team's willing to trade back and what team has interest in what player. And the nickname for it is lying season. And, I almost kind of get it for the draft, but for something like this, and I get it. It's football, as you say, it's a game of millimeters, not even a game of inches. Any little thing can make a difference. And You know, if a team has to spend a little bit extra time game planning for 2 quarterbacks as opposed to 1, you know, and maybe they get a little bit less sleep or something like that. Like, okay, I kind of get it to an extent, but I mean, I guess the thing that, like, I don't like lying in general, but the point that you brought up a couple times, which annoyed me, is like how Salah's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like, dude, you're the one who made it a thing.
He wasn't even asked about it. Like, he knew he was gonna get hammered. Like, it's not like, oh, they were asking him 5 questions and like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like it was like him admitting guilt. Like, oh, I really fucked up. I don't want to be questioned about it. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
And like, if he really wanted to go wrong with the lie too, he could keep like saying, like, he could just like act like he doesn't know, like week 2. Hey, listen, you know, we're going to evaluate it on a week-to-week basis, and he's not going to play this week.
Like crashing your parents' car and then like them questioning you, or like you admitting like, hey, I crashed your car. I don't want to talk about it, and walking away. It's like, I'm pissed off about it. It's like, no, you fucked up. Like, you gotta own up to it. Like, be a man. And in that incident, he wasn't a man to me. Like, he looked like the guy with the tail between his legs. Like, just don't lie in the first place. It's just stupid. We have some corner over left tackle talk. Kyle, do you want to hit that really quickly? Why we took Sauce Gardner over Ekwonu? Again, Monday morning quarterbacking. At that point, you had Becton. I think they were going to sign another tackle at some point as a backup. You have Max Mitchell, so you're taking the shot on Becton. You take that shot on Becton, it allows you to have a corner who is a legit talent. It's not like we were in this position at the draft where we just had Dwayne Brown, no Becton. Like, you had Becton. They were going to sign another guy. They brought in Max Mitchell. I'm fine with what they did at tackle. Unfortunately, they got the shitty end of the stick, which they usually do. But you weren't going to draft Ekwonu to play guard or to play backup to Becton. Like, what if Becton worked out? Then what is Ekwonu doing? You take the shot on a better talent in Sauce Gardner, who in my opinion is the second best player in this draft, because they didn't have the hole at left tackle or right tackle they initially did. Now, if we knew this, maybe rewinding, I would get the argument for drafting a tackle. I would still probably sign one because I like Sauce Gardner better, and I'm not reaching for talent or reaching in the top 5 when I have a guy who's still a position of need at corner over tackle. I didn't explain that well. Want to take it? I'm all over the place with that one.
No. And by the way, you've made your point on this whole issue.
I just don't want to talk about it
clear for many months. Yeah, we really don't need to. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep saying this. Like, listen, no player is bust proof, and it goes right to the intro of the show where I say Sauce Gardner has a really high floor and a really high ceiling. His bust percentage, in my opinion, is extremely low. Like, the percentage chance that he's going to be a bust, I think is being maybe like 10% or something like that. Like, I just don't see it happening. He works too hard. He's very athletic, and he's just got some like really good gifts too. I mean, injuries. I mean, of course, injuries can derail anyone's career. That's not what I'm talking about. So, I mean, that right there is a big reason to take him. And then obviously the whole conflict that they had. I mean, he was a better player, higher floor than Ekwonu, in my opinion, higher ceiling as well. And you didn't have that whole, like, first of all, a guard is not worth it at 4, and then Ekwonu, in my opinion, was a much better guard than he was a tackle. And you're going to take a tackle when you still have Becton, who you've already seen potential for him. And yeah, there was the whole injury situation, but it's different before he got hurt this year. So anyway, we can just leave that topic in the dust.
It's just like, even if you thought Becton was a 50% chance of working out, I'd rather take that 50% chance, have Becton and Sauce, than eliminate that 50% chance in taking Ekwonu and having no Sauce. Like, just give me Sauce and the risk of Becton, and then you address it next year. But with that being said, did I anticipate Joe Douglas having McDermott potentially in a big role this year, considering injuries? No, I thought there would be another tackle brought in. So unfortunately, it's only exemplified this problem. But yeah, I'm still taking Sauce. Jan's in J12. I will be in J1, so it'll be pretty close, Jan. So stop by if you are willing, or if you want to. I know there's gonna be a decent amount of us there, Kyle.
I think he said he's gonna stop by.
Jan, yeah, good. Let's see. I don't know what's going on with this. Mitchell needs to beat.
I couldn't see it.
Mitchell did beef up. I believe he said he was at like 310 or something like that, which obviously some of those pounds are going to drop coming into or throughout the season. You're not going to be able to necessarily maintain that weight through the entire season. But I think he did beef up a little bit. And to be fair, Kyle, when we did watch him in preseason, just what we were able to focus on Max Mitchell, he did look relatively good. But with that being said, yes, I was impressed with Mitchell. Should he be starting against the Ravens? Absolutely not. For a 4th round guy.
No,
Hey,
he
guys.
absolutely shouldn't. I mean, you know who did start as like a 4th round pick as a rookie for the Jets? Slauson. But,
Matt Slauson, yeah.
less than ideal though.
And
In an ideal world, you don't want that to happen.
Pirlo, would you rather have McDermott or Mitchell start? It's Mitchell because at least there's a chance he could be decent, where McDermott, we know exactly what's going to happen if he goes in. He's going to be absolutely terrible. Like Mitchell might be okay. I doubt he would be average. I think he will struggle, especially we're talking about a rookie seeing, it's not necessarily Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa or any one of these guys, but it's a very complex scheme to understand. What we're assuming the scheme will be in terms of all the creeper pressures and radar defense and all of that, blitz, hug rushing and tag rushing and all that. It's going to be complex for him to pick up. So it's not ideal. And then let's say Dwayne Brown is out next week as well, Kyle. Well, guess what? It's only Myles Garrett. That'll be fine, right? Max Mitchell versus Myles Garrett. I'm sure he'll fare out well. Now, will anybody who's in free agency fare out well against Myles Garrett? No, but I'd rather have an Eric Fisher against Myles Garrett than Max
Last
Mitchell.
time we went against Myles Garrett, he injured our quarterback for the whole year. If I remember correctly. Simeon, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hawk brings up a good point. Fan is gone after the season. Probably, I don't think he wants to be here. He is a team leader, and obviously he seems like he gets along with a lot of his locker room or a lot of the guys in his locker room well. Now, is this rubbing him the wrong way? I think it is. The fact that he's bounced around so much, is that ideal for him? Maybe he's demanding a little bit more money because of this and because of the Jets taking advantage of his flexibility. But again, left tackle to right tackle to left tackle to right tackle to left tackle, like it's been bounced around so much at this point. I could see the frustration with Fant. Now, I think money talks. So if they offer him up a contract, he's probably comfortable here, as long as they're going to commit to him potentially at left tackle. No squeaky toys while I'm doing the show. But yeah, I think money talks.
Money definitely talks. That's obviously number one in keeping a player happy and wanting them to stay with their team. But also, if the Jets, win a good amount of games too, winning helps build a good culture. We've all been on bad teams, and dude, my high school teams were pretty good. But even playing in flag leagues and stuff, where granted, it's just fun, right? Like everyone's out there just playing for fun. But when you start losing games, people stop showing up and stuff. And granted, it's obviously not the same thing when you're talking about NFL and contracts and money and stuff, but who's going to want to play for a loser? And especially Fant, this could potentially be his last contract. If the Jets lose a bunch of games this year, why am I going to want to finish my career with a losing spot when I can get similar money elsewhere? So
yeah. It's not ideal for Fant, and we'll see. I think that his level of, I freaking threw the squeaky toy back on the floor and he just grabbed it immediately. So I'm gonna have to grab that in a second. I love you to hear that, Kyle.
Oh, we can hear it.
It can get annoying. It can get annoying. But let's keep moving on. There is some negativity in the chat right now. I'm not gonna try to address it all, but let's see. People are getting blocked. People are fighting. Coleman is still inside. Would you sign him back? I would. Are the Jets going to now? Again, I think the Jets could be a little bit. They could be a little bit.
Thing is who are you going to get rid of to sign him? I mean, we would say Ty Johnson, but the Jets obviously aren't going to do that. So I don't really. You're kind of in a bind there.
Yeah, at this point, why would you cut Coleman to sign him back? It's not like you're trying to stash him on the practice squad or anything like that. So I would prefer to sign him, but would I? Probably not. Bros, what's up? What's up, man? Let's see. 4 out of 5 of our starting O-line are free agents, which is why we're high in that cap statistic. Yeah, and unfortunately, Becton is somebody we were going to rely on for years to come, and now we're gonna have to replace him, Kyle. Obviously, they're going to make a big investment in tackle next year, right? We'd assume so, unless the plan is for Dwayne Brown to be here, compete with Becton. But is that enough, or do they kind of take a wait and see approach? Okay, we have Brown, we have Becton. Hopefully they sign Fant. If a guy falls into our lap, we'll take him. If a guy comes here for a contract we'd like in free agency, we'll take him. They're not necessarily going to press the issue. How do you feel about the tackle position going? And obviously, we should be talking about week 1 right now, but
I think they're probably going to take the wait and see approach. Okay, number one is how is Becton recovering? How did Dwayne Brown play this year? And you never know which guys are actually going to hit the market, right? Because players could always re-sign during the season, and they could also get tagged, right? So there's a lot of questions there. We don't know, but the fact is in terms of your tackle spots for the future, there's a lot of uncertainty. And when you took Mekhi Becton 11th overall and he had the rookie year that you did, you thought you had that kind of, set for years to come in.
Kyle, new listener, the football IQ of an acorn. Hey, Graham Cacker, you can go to any of the film reviews. I like to debate you on some film. Let's see how smart you are, buddy. Fucking internet trolls, bunch of losers. But go New York.
Yeah, I haven't seen his name before.
Oh, yeah, he's a vagina. It's okay. Hey guys, and this is the one of the guys in the parking lot who like never say anything to your face, never do anything. He's just sitting there behind a keyboard with no picture. Probably has absolutely no friends, no wife, no kids. It's fine. It's just
what if he did say it to your face in the parking lot, Joe?
I would just debate him on film and just prove him wrong with words.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, right.
Wait, what did Go New York
Millers? It's just go New York. Hey guys, great X Factor draft. Looking forward to the season. I can't see the Jets pulling this one off, but if we stretch our imaginations and Flacco performs really well in this run, impact on Zach. There is no impact on Zach. He plays immediately when he's healthy, right?
Yes. I mean, that's one thing that Robert Saleh has said with a lot of confidence. There's sometimes when he speaks with a little bit of trepidation, you can tell he's a little nervous. He's not sad. You can kind of tell he's maybe bullshitting a little bit, but you can have every time that they've kind of asked that, he's like, Zach's definitely the starter. He's our future, period. So yeah, when he's healthy, they're going to play him.
Yep. Okay. Let's see.
And by the way, you know what Flacco is. I mean, like he's been in the league
man.
for a long time. He's started a ton of games. You know what he is. I mean, like he's a guy who, he's not going to really make things happen out of structure. He's not he's not athletic. He can make some nice downfield throws. He can get the ball out quick. But I mean, he's not, like in terms of arm talent, like people like to brag that Flacco had this great arm and stuff. He never really had a great arm. In terms of pushing the ball downfield, he had a pretty decent deep ball for the majority of his career. But in terms of putting heat on it and making, mid level throws and outside the hash throws, I mean, he's never been great at that. So, I mean, you kind of know what he is. You definitely know what he is. So, I mean, and that's not something that's probably going to, I know he won a Super Bowl, so I don't want to take that away from him. But at this stage of his career, it's not something that's going to win you a Super Bowl unless you have like maybe the most elite roster in the world and you also have an extreme amount of luck. So,
yeah. We have some Becton hate in here, which I understand. Kyle, I think at this point, if we were to take a percentage chance on Becton actually working out and not being a bust, is it lower than 50%? Him being a long-term starter for the Jets. So
it has to be less than 50% easily. I would probably say it's less than 30%, which sucks because I was firmly of the opinion that there's no way you move on from him after last year. There was no chance in my mind that you were going to trade him in the offseason. Wasn't worth it, in my opinion. But now, after another season-ending injury, same knee, that changes things a lot.
So, Kyle, another thing I want to get into before we get into the Ravens game, we'll get to the rest of the chat in a little bit. The Mosley contract, did you look into that? Do you understand what the hell is going on? Because the first couple of hours, it was flying around at there was guaranteed money past this year. There was more, there was less. They extended the money they owed him for years to come. Like, did you understand exactly what happened with that? Because it seems like the Jets opened up some cap space by deferring money to the future, where basically if they were, so the caps, I think the cap hit was like $12 million $17 million this year. And they took some of that money and kind of made it payable over the next 3 years where he has some dead money on or farther dead money on the cap going forward. Something like that, but it seems like he's going to be here. You'd assume.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it, but my understanding is like the Jets basically could make it easy for them to have an out after 1 year, but now it basically, because they did whatever they did with the contract, he's tied to them for the next 2 years. I want to adjust what Harold said really quickly because he mentioned my name specifically. He said Flacco has always had a very strong arm, and you live in Maryland, so I assume that you've seen a lot of his games over the years. Not sure what I'm talking about. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. Think about, all right, so Flacco, he's always been known to have like some of these really nice deep ball throws, most notably 2012 playoffs, the year they won the Super Bowl. He had that Hail Mary throw at the end of the game, which the safety for the Broncos played like absolute dog shit. And the player, whoever it was, Jacoby Ford or whatever, caught it, touchdown or whatever. Yeah, he can push the ball downfield. I have no doubt about that. But can he put those heaters on it? Like, for example, like Josh Allen, like let's say you have like two defenders. Like, let's say you have an over the top safety and a trailing corner or something like that. And your receiver's running like a post and you need to fit it in that hole and you need to zoom it in there as quickly as possible before those defenders can close on it. Does Flacco have that type of arm talent? No, I don't think so. I don't think he ever has. I don't know if you agree with me, Joe. To the extent of like someone like Josh Allen or Herbert or one of these guys.
At least I haven't seen it enough in the past couple of years to say it's still a strong suit. You know, again, there's a difference, and I completely agree with you. Throwing a ball 55 yards and then driving, a corner route or a comeback, opposite hash, 15 yards, 20 yards down the field. And I haven't seen as many of those throws with good power on it, and there's a difference. So I agree with you. Like throw power versus like the actual velocity. I don't think he necessarily has the same velocity that he used to have, but he does still throw a pretty deep ball. So if the Jets are able to run some play action and get those corners biting, obviously Marcus Peters he's come off an ACL or a Achilles tear, and he's kind of the like OG Trayvon Diggs, where like he'll get some picks but also load up some touchdowns because he's aggressive. So if you are running the ball successfully versus a defense that doesn't necessarily have the strongest interior, could you set up, a Marcus Peters or even a Marlon Humphrey for a deep shot with Elijah Moore? Because Marlon Humphrey's good, but he did have a little bit of a down year last year. Again, obviously, that's relying on some other people more than myself and actually watching him every single rep. I always like to preface it by that, but he wasn't a stud last year, according to most. So could they take advantage of Joe Flacco's deep arm or arm? Yeah. Much more than they could with Mike White. They pretty much condensed the field to 25 yards. So,
yeah. So, in terms of, they should definitely take a couple of shots for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're talking about deep ball, like there's no question that Flacco's deep ball with his time with the Jets was way better than Sam Darnold's. And truthfully, it was even better than what we saw of Zach Wilson last year. Now, Zach had a couple nice downfield throws, most notably his throws in the Titans game. But, sometimes downfield throws is also about timing and stuff as well. And Zach did not have that last year. So they should definitely take a couple shots, Elijah Moore and stuff. I mean, you want to be a little bit careful because, one thing about Peters is he's definitely a ball hawk, although he is coming off the big injury. But have you watched a lot of Marcus Williams, the safety from the Saints? Because there was a lot of Jets fans that wanted the Jets to sign him, and apparently the Jets had interest in him. Truthfully, I don't know a ton about his game.
Not enough to give like a full breakdown on him. Obviously, he's more of a free safety than a strong safety, and I know can I tell you strengths and weaknesses? No, not necessarily. I don't want to reach. But when I've watched him, I've been impressed. So would I prefer him over Jordan Whitehead or LaMarcus Joyner? Probably, but that's where we are right now.
It's funny that some people are coming at me now as if I'm a Flacco hater when I literally put him as a top 20 Jet in my last prediction, as if I don't like Flacco. I actually like Flacco, and I like that he's the backup. But I'm saying there's a reason why a team moved on from him, and there's a reason why he's been a backup, right? Like, there's no doubt that the guy has some arm talent and stuff, and he has, in terms of arm talent versus backup quarterbacks, he probably has the strongest arm talent out of backup quarterbacks that I can think of off the top of my head. But there's a reason why someone like Zach Wilson is unquestionably the starter over Joe Flacco, right? Like, and I literally just said, at this point in their careers, last year, Joe Flacco had a better deep ball than Zach, but nobody's going to say that Joe Flacco has a better arm talent than Zach Wilson, right? And there's a lot of things that go into what is arm talent. And yeah, I did compare him to Josh Allen because, when I think of, anyway, but I'll stop.
The chat is ruthless tonight, and of course we have some visitors who aren't usually here, who are going to troll a little bit, which is okay. But yeah, nonetheless, like Flacco too, like, and he didn't leave the best taste in our mouths the last time we saw him. Either way, he either didn't see the linebacker when he threw that pick, or he just doesn't have the arm talent, and the ball kind of just lost some steam on it, which is even like, is it better or is it worse? I don't know, because we're not talking about an overly mobile guy who it's a little bit concerning just in terms of like playing a Ravens team who's going to pressure him a lot. You're assuming he's going to get on the run sometimes. Can he deliver the ball on the run? he's going to be forced out of the pocket sometimes. There's going to be some miscommunications. There's going to be some pressure up the A gap, up the B gap, and he's going to need to move. The last time he was moving throwing a ball, Kyle, it didn't work out very well for the Jets. So it's people talk about Flacco like he's one of the top backups in the league. I think he's an average level backup. Now, with that being said, I think his last couple of what was that face for, Kyle?
Average backup?
Average, yeah, ish. I think I would go through it, but people like we talk about like the Browns, like going to play Jacoby Brissett. It's like we're gonna beat the Browns. We're playing Brissett. Is Brissett
He's one of the better backups in the league, definitely.
Okay, yeah, like I would rather have Brissett. I would rather have let's say like if it was a Mariota or like a Trubisky, just because of the way they can move. Maybe you take one of those guys over Flacco. And I know they're starting those guys, but I'm talking about like last year. Flacco is not an upper shelf backup quarterback to me. I'm not overly confident in it. So I don't know. What's his name? Sluggo asked if Brown is playing Sunday. I have no idea. The fact that he has do not practices 2 games or 2 days in a row would lead me to believe not.
Yeah, this seems like it's not such good news. I have a bad feeling the way it's being talked about.
Yeah.
And it almost makes you wonder if the Jets are kind of playing it like like they have to disclose injuries to a certain extent because otherwise, they can get in trouble for that, my understanding. But the way that they've kind of been a little quiet about it, though, makes me think that they don't want to reveal to the Ravens that we're not going to be able to trot them out there on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Anthony G? Too much optimism is sign of insanity. I don't know if that's for any. We're not optimistic in this show, right? Not right now, Kyle. It's just bad taste. Flacco, bad taste. Wilson trying to cover up for his coach, bad taste. Joe Douglas, bad taste with no offensive tackle, and bad taste from Saleh trying to lie to the media. It's not the best way to start off the season. But if they come out and win on Sunday, Kyle, who's going to give a shit about any of the things we're saying right now? So we'll see. Michael Elias or Elias, whatever. I'm not sure. That name always screws me up. I'll be honest, guys. I lost trust in the Jets trainers and doctors. They should really revamp that room because they're always wrong.
I got a question. So didn't the Jets change their training staff? Like, so when they had Gase, they had tons of injuries both years that Gase was here, and didn't they revamp the whole training staff?
Yeah, 2 years ago they changed the entire thing. With whatever that doctor's name was. So you'd hope it'd improve. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad, because they've been, knock on wood, I don't know if I don't really have wood around me. They haven't had terrible injuries this year. Obviously they've had Becton, they've had Zach Wilson, they've had DJ Reed a little bit, but for the most part, the team is healthy. It's just the timeline. Is it them giving bad information to Saleh, or is it Saleh trying to play the internal optimist and give, fans false hope in that sense? So I don't know if it's the staff. Obviously, time will tell. But Flacco had a crazy. So I don't know about were you arguing that Flacco had a great arm in terms of his deep ball back in the day? I think it's obviously dissipated a little bit. But in terms of like the arm talent of Josh Allen, of some of these players,
I'm saying that Flacco never had like the arm talent, not even close to the arm talent of Josh Allen. Like he always had a good deep ball. Right. Like he always had a very solid arm. There's a reason why he was drafted 17th overall or whatever it was as a guy who came from a smaller school. But let's not get it twisted and compare his arm to someone like Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Josh Allen. Like it's like they're on a whole different tier. Those guys. Let's just be honest. He never was that. Like never at any point in his career.
Mm-hmm. Eagle Fang, I think Twitter is invading JetX Live today. I feel like I'm on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is a little bit of a cesspool. Usually we have some good conversations. Again, typically when people are bringing up like counter arguments and it's people I see before, I'm willing to entertain them. But when it's people who are just coming in looking for a fight and looking to get blocked, you get blocked, and we shouldn't even really entertain those people. But sometimes the better, the worst of me takes over, and I decide to respond to people. But the film reviews are out there. That's all I'll say. Go and watch, and we can disagree if you want to. Write an email about what I was wrong about, and we'll talk about it. Whoever the hell that was, I forget his name, but he got blocked. So, moving on, Kyle.
And I would also say this too. I don't think the reason why Flacco, why the Ravens moved. Obviously part of the reason why the Ravens moved on is they had a chance. Lamar Jackson slipped all the way to 32. But let's not also forget that the Ravens did take a tight end before they took Lamar Jackson, but he happened to fall into their laps. All right. So that's part of the reason why they moved on from him. But I don't think the reason they moved on from him was he lost some of his arm talent. I think they just kind of realized that there's a lot of things that he doesn't do. Right. in terms of mobility and things like that, making off script plays and things like that. But I don't think Joe Flacco really lost arm talent. That's not the reason why he's not a starter for one of the 32 teams now, in my opinion. I think the arm is still fine. It's pretty much similar to what it's been his entire career, in my opinion. Like someone like Peyton Manning towards the end of his career, you clearly could see that his arm was a shell of its former self. Same thing with Drew Brees, like his last 1.5 years in the league. You haven't seen that level of decline in Flacco's arm talent yet. Mm-hmm. I don't think.
Yeah, and somebody brought up like the difference in like arm strength versus arm talent. Like, you know, the Mahomes is the epitome of arm talent, right? Where Flacco has arm strength, but he doesn't have the arm talent of one Patrick Mahomes or obviously Josh Allen. You know, you can argue who would you say have more arm talent over Josh Allen or Mahomes? I think I would probably take Mahomes in terms of overall talent. Obviously, Josh Allen, I think if you actually had to throw the ball for a farther distance, I think he could probably throw it farther than Mahomes. But the arm angles, all that Mahomes can do, I would say his arm talent is higher than one Josh Allen. But that's me personally. So
that's a very fair way to put it, I think.
Yeah. So moving on, we'll move on to some of the other just kind of happenings of the week, Kyle. Then we'll get into the Ravens. We'll go over their roster. Captains, Mosley, Hardy, Wilson. That was some other side news from this week. Any gripes about that? We obviously didn't name a entire roster like the Giants did, where it was 14 guys on defense, 14 guys on offense, six special teamers, the head coach, you know, the assistant wait staff. The Jets only named 3, which is kind of, I feel like that's a little bit less than we've done in the past, but Hardy, obviously, is a special teams captain. We have Mosley, captain of the defense, which no really questions about. And then Zach Wilson, the quarterback of the team.
I have a question. So when I saw Zach Wilson was named captain, I wasn't surprised. I mean, he works hard. You know, he's flying out people to work out with him in the offseason and stuff. Yeah. Second overall pick. I get it. I was wondering, is there any team that has a young quarterback that was drafted really early that's not a captain of the team? That's what I was wondering around the league.
Oh, what'd you say, Kyle?
Oh, okay. So here's my question. I'm wondering, is there any team that has a young quarterback that was drafted really early that's not a captain of their team?
Oh, off the top of my head, no. And then
because I mean, I know the Giants have 14 captains or whatever, but Daniel Jones, I mean, like obviously he's a captain of the Giants, despite the fact that
he's one of the 25.
Yeah, but still, even despite the fact that he's had 4, less than stellar years now, and it's a new staff, and it's a front office that didn't draft him.
It's one of those things that's expected. If you're not captain as a quarterback,
like, it's a red flag. If you're, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a red flag if you're a quarterback and you're not a captain.
Yeah. So moving on to some other news, Kyle. The Jets released Calvin Jackson and DQ Thomas from the practice squad. No gripes with DQ Thomas. Why Calvin Jackson was released, I don't know, because you look at obviously the preseason he had. Calvin Jackson was pretty impressive. Like we were talking about him potentially making the roster as the 6th instead of Jess Smith. So for him now to get cut from the practice squad, not the biggest fan of that move. Am I going to lose my mind about it? Obviously not, but I would prefer for Calvin Jackson to be on the practice squad. So that's a little bit disappointing. Other than that, they signed wide receiver, punt returner Deontay Spencer to the practice squad from the Broncos, and they signed back Eric Smith to the practice squad. Apparently they had him here in like 2018 or 2019 practice squad body.
You say Eric Smith, I'm thinking of the safety from the Rex Ryan years.
No, not that Eric Smith who absolutely laid out. Was that Anquan Bolden? Was it Anquan Bolden in that game?
Yeah, dirty hit though.
Yeah, dirty hit. So any thoughts about some of that stuff? We'll move to the rest of the chat, and then we'll go to the Ravens game.
No, we can move on.
Okay. Let's see. Flacco stunkily moved on. We're overthinking. Yeah, and Flacco, the last time he played with the Broncos as a full-time starter, wasn't very good. Now, I think his touchdown to interception ratio of the Jets the last couple of games is 9-3. So at least he's not dreadful. And I think if you put a good team around him, which I think the Jets do have an offense, I think you can move the ball. But I'm not overly confident in Flacco to come in and dominate here. So I don't know. Wrong. Go watch Flacco Super Bowl highlights. He had Herbert type velocity.
Look, all right, listen. Velocity is kind of a funny thing. Flacco threw 55 miles per hour velocity at the combine. Take that as you will, but that's the same as Mitch Trubisky, right? Like, I think the velocity thing is kind of really overblown. I'm like what a guy clocks at the combine or whatever, but 55 is it's below average in terms of starters. Just saying. I mean, someone like Josh Allen's in the 60s. Same thing with Mahomes. So I'm just saying.
Aaron Butler is a Ravens fan who I've seen here before. I haven't seen him in a little bit, but I know he's been in here before. He is a Ravens fan through and through. He's so looking forward to the matchup between Bateman and Gardner and Moore versus Humphrey. Yeah, that's strength on strength. I'm looking forward more towards your strengths versus our weaknesses and your weaknesses versus our strengths than I am against like strength on strength. Our run game versus your defensive line, which is not necessarily the strongest part of the team, and our offensive line versus your blitz scheme, Lamar Jackson in the running game versus our defense, which has not been the best at containing the run, to say the least. So, but these are the matchups that are like, again, kind of, I would anticipate the Jets doing pretty well in both of these, at least in terms of like competing with these guys. I think Bateman's a good receiver. Do I think he's some locked or like superstar number one? I don't. And I think he has the perfect body type for Sauce Gardner to go against. I'm much more comfortable with him playing a Bateman body type than I am a Tyreek Hill body type. And obviously Hill's just a better receiver nonetheless, but the body type of Bateman kind of bodes well to Gardner having a good game. And then Moore versus Humphrey is another good one. And Humphrey, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but did struggle a little bit last year. So hopefully he has a bounce back year for you guys. I think he's still a good player. But I know he wasn't as strong in 2021. I could be wrong though. So let's see. Lance is not a captain. Is that true? There you go, Kyle. Or Art has one for you. Trey Lance is a captain. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people took that as a red flag when they re-signed Jimmy G to that contract. And I know that the 49ers kind of try to play it like it wasn't no big deal. And like, oh, Lance is so happy to have him back and stuff. But it's like, is that a red flag? I don't know.
What's up, Stephen Angle? Harold's still talking about Joe Flacco's arm. And the thing with Joe Flacco's arm, too, like when he was in his prime and he was really slinging the ball around there or out there, slinging the ball around, sure. I wasn't watching as much as I was now, like in terms of film and stuff. So I can't speak to like what his arm was like with the Ravens. So I am reaching a little bit in terms of like, oh, well, it was this or was that, because we're looking at what, when was Flacco in his prime with the Ravens? Like 2010 through like 14.
2012 15? Was the year he won the Super Bowl, and that was the
Okay.
year that he bet on himself. That was the end of his rookie contract, and I think he played on the franchise tag that year, if I'm not mistaken. And then he got the big payday after. So You're talking 2012, 2013 was maybe his prime.
Underrated key for Sunday, getting MetLife bumping, Brees breaking free for a large run. Are we doing the Brees chant, Kyle? Is that a fit?
Oh, absolutely. Dude, it was happening at training camp practice, man.
I don't go to training camp practice.
Well, I know you don't. Right, I'm just saying, like, how many people are there? Like probably no more than a couple thousand at most. I don't even know if it's that much. There's not that many seats and stuff, but I mean, fans were doing it there. And obviously fans that go to training camp practices are pretty diehard, but yeah, dude, it's going to happen for sure.
I'll throw this to you, Kyle. Where would you rank Bateman against our top four receivers?
I really don't know. I didn't watch much of him coming out of college, nor did I really watch him last year. Wasn't he? He was hurt for a decent portion of last year, wasn't he?
To my knowledge, it was like almost an Elijah Moore situation. Like when he was on the field, he was really productive, but he battled some injuries as well. So like just off the top of my head, again, not necessarily watching the guy, or not necessarily. It's just flat out. I don't watch this guy as much as I watch Jets players, but I feel like at this point you're going to put him at 2 or 3. I would probably maybe say 2 over Corey Davis, but I think people underrate what Corey Davis is when he's actually catching the ball. Like he's still a very good, number 2 receiver. And is Bateman more than number 2 in the NFL? I think he's being forced into a number 1 role with the Ravens, but I think his body type and what he is more of a really good number 2 than a number 1. So.
Yeah. And if you're doing right now, that's fair to do that. But in terms of upside and ceiling, comfortably, I would probably say Garrett Wilson over him. But I know that he's kind of asking right now.
Nose kills with a $5 super chat or €5. Not black or white pilled, just football blue balled. I hope we get our shit together before novelty wears off. A few wins and it'll be okay. That's what we've been saying the entire time. Those kills is listen, like this is all leaving a bad taste in our mouth at this point. But if they come out and they beat the Ravens, or listen, like even if you compete with the Ravens, like I'm okay with a 27-20 game or 30 to 23, like something. Just give me some hope at the end of the game. Do not let me go in there. The Ravens run it down our throats two drives in a row. It's 14-0 before we can even sit down, and grab a beer. Like, so I just can't have that. So they need to prove it at this point. There's no more excuses. So
Yeah,
We'll see
dude,
what
there was
happens.
so that stadium was absolutely rocking for the home opener last year, despite the fact that they lost week 1.
Yeah.
And early on in the game, the Patriots fumble. I do not know to this day how they still ruled that fumble in the Patriots' favor because it looked like the Jets recovered it.
Yeah.
All right, so that took the wind out of the sails a little bit. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Zach's first 2 passes were both interceptions. So you want to talk about instant deflation.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's and then like right after that, Kyle, again, we have some hope week 1, and then you go to 2 blowouts right after another blowout at home. It's just like the season's been over in September for how many years in a row? Like, give us again, and I thought it was somebody said it on Twitter, but it's like people are talking about being competitive in December. Like, what about just getting through September and being competitive? Like we need that first. Like, let's take baby steps. But yeah, we'll see. Bus says he has OCD.
Was the Titans win? No, that was in October, right?
That wasn't in September. We haven't won in September in a couple of years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we've won in September since it might have been 2018, Kyle. 2018, we haven't won in September.
And we're talking bad losses too. I mean, think about the week 3 Broncos loss. We got shut out last year. And then think about the week 3 loss against the Colts in 2020 year. That was absolutely disgusting. What was that, like 38-3? And that was the game that you knew, okay, Darnold is not the answer. I mean, like some of those interceptions were absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's throwing out routes and the defenders clearly got inside leverage and he's looking straight at the quarterback and Darnold's hanging the ball inside and then it's pick 6.
Yeah, Kyle, we're going to run through the chat really quickly. I'm almost to the top of it or to the bottom of it, whatever you want to say, and then we'll get into the Ravens a little bit. But the black spot is right there. It is a scratch on my camera, I think, because I don't know.
It's the only thing that makes sense that it's in that same spot all the time.
It has to. It has. I don't know if I can get it off. Yeah, no, I can't. So I apologize.
You're probably just gonna make it worse if you keep trying. So
yeah, or I should get a new computer. It is what it is. So let's see. 9/11 at MetLife is going to be special, at least for pregame. Yeah, it should be. I'm hoping it's still sold out. But listen, like at the end of the day, are fans as excited coming to this game as they were with Zach Wilson playing? Definitely not, but I still expect the environment to be pretty crazy in there. And especially if the Jets start off fast or they're at least competing, the stadium will still be loud. Even a Titans game, Kyle, which I don't know.
You could still tell the fans have a different level of optimism about this team, though, because there's a lot of young talent. I mean, there's a lot of people who are really big fans of Garrett Wilson and stuff. And the draft class was pretty much universally praised by people. So the excitement level about this team is definitely different in years past. But yeah, not having Zach out there is definitely, it's going to lessen that a bit. But anyway, what were you saying? Sorry.
I completely forget now. I was reading the sneakers to boots because this really distracted me. The fact that did the Jets really lower their beer prices to $5-6 a beer? Is that a thing?
I don't know, but I do remember. I do remember the Falcons in one of their previous year had this like really cheap concessions prices or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It almost makes you wonder like why more teams that have attendance issues don't do that more often. Well, apparently the Jets have one of the higher attendance rates in the league, but I think that's just mostly because the stadium is so big, like in terms of capacity, but there's a lot of empty seats on any given week. Like it's like very rarely sold out.
The Jets priced out, obviously, like with the whole PSL things was bullshit, and the insane ticket prices, the insane parking passes. It is a lot of bullshit. Where like I wish we kind of were like the Falcons owner, not necessarily charging. Like, listen, even if you charge for $3 for a hot dog, how much are you paying for a hot dog when you buy in bulk like that? Like 4 cents, 2 cents, 1 cent for 1 cent for a hot dog. Like to charge people $10 is crazy. And the beer thing too, it's like $12 for a beer is ridiculous. So. I'm going to drink just as much as I would regardless. It doesn't matter if it's $12 or $5, but it'll definitely help my wallet out. So Dwayne Brown is apparently, not practicing. So he's injured, not practicing the last two practices, which is obviously very.
By the way, Joe, the guy whose name you just had on the screen. Do you understand that reference?
What?
Put it back up. The one you just had.
This?
Do you understand that reference? The name.
Ryu Ken.
Yeah. Do you understand that?
I am nervous to say that I do not, but I do not.
That's Street Fighter, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But that was still a little bit. I was maybe a little young for that. I don't
stop it. You weren't that
Street
young.
Fighter was like, I was playing like Mortal Kombat
Okay, if you're playing Mortal Kombat, you played Street Fighter.
Tekken, but I don't know if I ever actually played Street Fighter. I don't know. Let's see. With Dwayne Brown, no, he won't. Black Swan, the camera lens. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought it was a bug. Yes. Thank you, everybody. It looks like a caterpillar. Okay. Joe, do you guys do butt chugs beers at your tailgate? No, we do not, Socrates. If the Jets were ever to make the Super Bowl, I might do a butt chug, but I haven't had a reason to.
Wait, how does that go?
Butt chug?
Yeah.
It just goes into your butt, Kyle. That's you never seen what was the movie John Cena? It was a Cock Blockers butt chug.
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lube the end of a funnel and you're gonna stick it in your anus and then you pour beer down it. It gets you hammered apparently really, really quick because it goes right.
You would do that?
No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do no, I would not.
I'm just saying. No, I know you love football. You're like, dude, if the Jets made the Super Bowl, like I was thinking you were serious. I mean, I know you love the game, but come on, dude.
That's why you asked. No, nothing is going up there. Now the night when the Jets win the Super Bowl, if they ever do, maybe a different conversation. We'll bring it back up then in 20 years. New camera fund from Anthony G. I appreciate that. That's great. But gonna be a lot of drunk assholes. Of course there will be. One of them will be my friend. We're trying to work on it.
Talk about Tom.
Yeah, Tom's working on it, but he takes you rooting against the Jets as you basically telling him it's the same thing as you saying, "Hey, Zach Wilson sucks," as, "Hey, go fuck your mother." Like that's how Tom takes it. So he gets offended when you're rooting against the Jets. So hopefully he's working on it a little bit because I got to chill a little bit with Tom. Have either of you tried the sauce yet? No, but I did get my mom actually. I don't know where she was at, but somehow she got her hands on the Nick Mangold barbecue sauce. Maybe it was a food store or whatever. And she came over the other night, birthday, whatever, and she dropped off Nick Mangold sauce. So I gotta try that soon. But I have not tried the sauce yet.
Apparently, Michael Carter likes it.
Does he?
Yeah, they put out a video. He looked like he was really enjoying it.
Yeah, Rendilla. It sounds just as you would ask us. Okay, we gotta move past this. Butt chug live stream on Blewett's OnlyFans confirmed. The Jets win the Super Bowl. We're talking. I need a couple of significant donations.
I will not be joining that live stream.
John Nolte, do the Jets still do PSLs? They do on the bottom, just not on the top. I don't know about the mezzanine, the second level. I'm not sure. The dog is apparently just smacking. Somebody asked me to show off the dog. If the dog walks close enough to me, I will. Okay. We're gonna move on.
I'm wondering. It's been a while since I've seen him. He's probably gotten a lot bigger.
He's literally just hit. Like he have like these training bells up. Like when he has to go shit, he'll hit the training bells, and we can hear them from upstairs. And the door is open for him, and he's just hitting the training bells, just being an asshole. So, moving on though, Kyle. After all of this stuff, before we talk about the Ravens game, has your expectation changed going into the season at all? Like we were talking about 8-9 wins for the Jets. Has it dropped a little bit? Are you a little bit discouraged from all of the recent happenings in Jets land?
Well, honestly, at this point, I notice I'm really emphasizing that. I don't know that we can say that Zach is better than Flacco at this point. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that within 3 or 4 games, he hits a hot streak and that talent starts showing and the confidence ramps up and that he is better. But I'm just saying, so like, is Flacco starting these first couple games the worst thing in the world? I would say no. Now, missing out on Becton for the whole year, that obviously has to, maybe does that alter one win or something like that? Yeah, that's fair to say. So, but they haven't actually lost a game yet, right? So have my expectations dropped? I mean, maybe a little bit, but not until they actually start losing real games.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, I'm going in more cautious than I was maybe 2 months ago, just because of some of the recent happenings and how they've handled some stuff. But at the end of the day, it is a little bit nitpicky, I guess, the stuff that we're talking about. If they are to go out there and win, like if they don't sign a tackle, Max Mitchell goes out, balls out, who's really going to care? Again, I'll care because the process is not great with that decision making. But wins cure all. Unfortunately, we just haven't been met by many wins in the season, so we're kind of expecting the worst a little bit. But was really excited, and I still am. But again, just don't get blown out. Don't start slow. No more freaking excuses. The roster isn't bad. They're at least capable to, or they're at least able to compete. Or they should be able to compete with every single team in the NFL. Are they going to win all these games? No. Are they probably going to lose to some of the better teams.
Hey,
Ravens,
dude, can we
Bills
be
out
more
there?
competitive
Sure,
in the
but
division, man? Like, dude, our division record over the last year, not only the record,
no, we
but
haven't
we've
won in
gotten
3
blown.
years.
We've gotten blown out in these games too. Like
Yeah,
you're talking, the Dolphins shut us out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Patriots absolutely blew us out in both games last year.
Mhm.
I mean, the Bills. Like, granted, we did beat them in that meaningless game at the end of was it Darnold's rookie year or whatever, when they
Mhm.
were resting people because they were in the playoffs. But other than that, I mean, like it's been bad. I mean, not just the losses, but just absolutely getting embarrassed.
Yeah, for sure. Kyle, do you want to grab a couple chats real quick? I'm gonna just go off for like a minute.
Okay, I can't
gotta
put them
hit
on
the
the
bathroom
screen.
quick.
I can't put them on
Yeah,
the
go.
screen, so I'll just read. Okay, someone's talking about Kung Fu Master and Cobra Kai. I haven't seen it, so I actually never even watched Karate Kid. So I'm getting on Blewett about fucking Street Fighter, and I never watched Karate Kid, so I got to watch that at some point. Max Mitchell, should he start if Brown can't go? Yeah, it should be Max Mitchell over Connor McDermott. There's absolutely no question about that. But the thing is Max Mitchell going to be better than one of these veterans that they can bring in? I really doubt that. Because Mitchell, I mean, listen, he's a 4th round rookie who needs to learn a little bit more, and he still needs to get a little bit stronger. So throwing him out there week 1 is not the best thing in the world. Bus's expectations have dropped significantly. Had us at 10 wins. Now have us at 9. That's a significant drop, 9 to 10 wins or 10 to 9 wins. I don't see that as being significant. Ashton Davis sightings on defense. Unfortunately, I think you're going to see it. Okay, you're back. Yeah, you're back.
I don't know if he looks much bigger because you haven't really seen him in.
He looks a little bit bigger. I mean,
he's
I can't see his whole body, but he looks bigger.
He was like probably like what, like 6 pounds when
is he one of these dogs that sheds, or you need to get his hair cut?
No, so he's I'm allergic to dogs, so I needed like a poodle mix. So he has hair that he has to cut, and like he's matted and stuff. He's a
little bit more poofy than he was the last time I saw him.
No, I'm allergic to dogs, but so I had to I couldn't get like necessarily the type of dog I wanted. Like if ideally I had 2 Rottweilers as a kid, I'd have a Rottweiler, but that would destroy me. So I had to settle for a medium dog. Don't necessarily love small dogs, but better than nothing. He's fun. So moving on. Moving on to the Ravens game again, Kyle. To me, can they adjust? Can Saleh manage the clock? That was a problem that they had, and I think he brought that up in one of his like most recent interviews. Was like talking about kind of having to call timeouts and having the challenge in the preseason. And one of the instances where we saw him try to manage the clock. I don't know if you remember specifically the game. I think it was either the first game or the second game. But the Jets are driving. The clock is ticking. 10 seconds comes off the clock, and then they call a timeout. Like you didn't know you wanted to call a timeout 10 seconds ago.
Last year.
So not a great start in preseason in terms of clock management because he wasted 10 seconds at the end of the game. And like I said, the team better come out and play fucking hard because if they don't, it's the coach's MO. So at least if you're gonna suck, play hard. And last year they didn't necessarily always have that. So I'm hoping obviously they can prove us wrong in that aspect. Plenty of pressure on Ulbrich as well. Does he come out and prove to be a little bit more capable of adjusting with his defense? Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're just going to drop back and play zone versus Lamar Jackson and not, he's going crazy. So I'm holding.
Yeah, you can't do that at all. So I'll say this, exactly. Dude. So this is one of the things that makes football fascinating is you could see a good game plan that a team did, and you could want to replicate that yourself. But if you don't have the personnel, the ponies to do it, you're not going to be able to do it. And you might get absolutely blown out trying to do it. And I think that, so Belichick, beat the Ravens. I don't know if I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was, so I can't remember what year it was, but I remember they beat him in Foxborough, kind of put like a game plan out on Lamar. But then one of Belichick's disciples, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now. He's no longer with the team. Their head coach, last year down in Miami, it was a primetime game. So Miami was a pretty blitz heavy team. Okay. And dude, they went so many plays in that game. It was a couple dozen plays where they had 7-8 guys on the line of scrimmage. Right. And they were showing a lot of, simulated pressures and things like that. And it also, in a way, it made it harder for Lamar to run options because if you have that many guys on the line of scrimmage, Lamar's not going to pull it and then run on the outside because you're going to have someone there who's right there to tackle him. And if you're the Ravens, you don't want to run Lamar Jackson up the middle because as impressive as a runner he is, he has a slight frame and you don't want him taking those hits. So, but one of the reasons why Miami could do that was they had some guys who could blitz, but most importantly, they had like, and also they were more used to blitzing, but they also had the corners. Because if you blitz, you're going to have corners that can play man defense. And obviously Miami has good corners. So they locked up the Ravens receivers and Lamar was under constant pressure all game. And they barely scored in that game. Now the Jets don't really play like that. They don't blitz a lot. And even when you think about our linebackers, like CJ Mosley is not a good blitzer. Like you would even say that Quincy Williams or Quan Alexander is probably a better blitzer than him. Do I think that the Jets have the corners that could lock down the Ravens receivers? Yeah, but I haven't really seen this Jets coaching staff want to run a game plan like that.
Yeah, and they have to be able to adjust to that because again, if you're going to just drop back and play in zone coverage versus Lamar Jackson, he's going to slice and dice you. And are they going to blitz more? Because I get that they want to blitz on third down, but versus Lamar Jackson, you're going to have to throw in some blitzes on first and second, and throw in some creeper blitzes where we are sending four from basically just unorthodox places and dropping a defensive lineman into coverage. You got to confuse him a little bit, get him thinking, get him to hold that ball for an extra second or two, and you got to smack the shit of him. If you're just in a rush forward versus Lamar Jackson, you're fucked. So do they adjust to it? Are they going to be overly like attached to their system, or are they going to adjust like they need to? Like you can't listen at the end of the day. Do you want your system and you don't want to run it successfully against anybody? Sure. But when you know it's not going to work versus Lamar Jackson, you're going to have to adjust in some way, so we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that in a little bit too, but the whole Jackson thing, I'm curious if Aaron's still in here. Are they going to sign him by Friday? Apparently, he has a deadline to sign a new contract by tomorrow. Is that going to affect him anyway? Is he going to maybe not?
I haven't heard that they're close.
Is he not going to put his head down? Is he maybe going to run out of bounds? And it obviously complicates it with Lamar Jackson that he's his own agent as well. So,
wait, he's his own agent?
Yeah. He doesn't have an agent. He's his own agent. So
that's risky. Does he have a business background or something?
I have no idea. No idea.
I mean, I remember, oh man, why am I forgetting him? There was a linebacker who played with the Giants for, part of the end of his career. Mm-hmm. And I remember him signing his own contract, but it's a pretty rare thing for players to do. And I understand if you have a business background, you want to save the money, not pay an agent. I get it. But yeah.
Kyle, let's go through the Ravens depth chart a little bit and just talk about their roster. Lamar Jackson, obviously we talked enough about him. Is there any idea you have of containing him other than the fact of blitzing him from a bunch of different areas? Again, whether that, and people talk about a spy on Lamar Jackson. I think the spy thing is a little bit overstated. There's really nobody you could spy for Lamar Jackson one-on-one. It's almost a waste of a player. To contain Lamar Jackson, you want to send a lot of contained rushes and hope for pressure up the middle from Quinnen Williams or JFM. But my thought is more blitz him from a bunch of different areas, contain rush him, but you're not really going to spy Lamar Jackson one-on-one, whether it be Quincy Williams, whether it be Jordan Whitehead. Again, you gotta throw some guys from extra spaces, make him hitch and hit him and get him thinking a little bit. Obviously stack the middle of the field as well, because he kills people over the middle of the field with Mark Andrews, and the outside number is not as strong. So do you stack the middle a little bit more? Do you bracket Mark Andrews? Do you cone him? Do you bracket him? What exactly are they going to do to kind of offset Lamar Jackson, his strengths and his weaknesses?
Yeah, you got to make him beat you in ways that he doesn't want to beat you. So yeah, make him throw outside for sure. And in terms of the blitzes, I mean, yeah, I would blitz him early, but if it's not working, if it's not getting home, you're going to want to probably lay off it, because if your blitzes aren't getting home, right, then you got corners in man coverage with their back to you, and it's going to be a lot easier for Lamar to scramble and gain huge amounts of yards against man coverage. So while you do want to blitz them, they have to be smart, and you want to keep them guessing. Now the good thing is it is week 1, so there's not a lot of tape on this current Jets defense from all this personnel. So it would be easier to confuse him with certain blitzes. For example, Rex Ryan's very first game with the Jets in Houston, 2009 season, I mean, they absolutely obliterated the Texans in that game. I think the Texans just scored 1 touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, and it was at the end of the game. But yeah, I mean, the Jets hadn't really put out a lot of the tape of their blitzes, so it kind of hit Houston. They didn't see it coming. So, yeah, that's what I'll say to that. I can't see what you have on the screen. I can't. So you have the roster on the screen. Let me make this bigger.
Yeah. I just pulled up their roster. Of course, he found the freaking Tweety toy. But yeah, no,
I was looking at this yesterday. Okay, so go ahead.
Their roster. Yeah, no, it's about contain rushing him. It's about setting creepers. It's about setting tag rushes, which is a tag rush. Okay, you're let's just say there's 2 guys in the A gap, 1 to each side of the center. 1 to the left, 1 to the right. If the center moves to his right and picks up the guy to the right, then the guy on the left blitzes. And then that guy in coverage to the right side of the center drops back. So you're basically tagging whoever's not covered or who's not blocked to is going to rush, and the other guys are going to drop back. So they need to have some flexibility. I want to see some of that. Again, I want to see more contain rushes. It's also going to be interesting to see how the Jets, again, just contain the rushing game. In terms of their tackling, are they going to be able to tackle this team? Because they are a team who is known to practice a little bit light, and you're talking about one of the best rushing teams in the entire NFL. Are they going to be able to tackle? And you look at the Jets defense in general and what they're weak against. Sorry, I'll grab that in a second. Again, he found it. With their run defense, they struggle against teams who run gap, power, all this stuff, and that's what the Ravens do. And it's even exemplified with that.
I'm wondering how much the Ravens are going to be able to run the gap with this current offensive line, though, because we know that Linderbaum is not. He's not much to really move guys on gap plays. Morgan Moses, he's not one to really move. I know he's kind of a big guy, but he doesn't really move people in the run game so well. Ben Powers, I don't think he's anything special. I mean, the Ravens' offensive line hasn't been really dominant since they had Yanda.
Yeah, no, but I don't think they're going to go away from their bread and butter. Like, I think they're going to mix some more zone into the scheme, but I don't see them being able to run with Lamar Jackson with the zone game as effectively. So they're still going to run obviously pretty heavy power, counter, all of that. And we said it last year to start the season, Kyle. Like we obviously had the game against the Panthers, but with the Patriots coming up in week 2, we said they're going to attack you with traps and counters and powers and all this stuff. How are they going to respond? Because the weakness of this 4-3 penetrating scheme are those type of schemes. And now it's exemplified with the Ravens if they are to run that, because they don't, they have a quarterback who's obviously not going to just be a kind of a dud in the run game. He's another guy you have to account for. So instead of kind of 10 versus 11 in some aspects, like other teams that you play, the Jets, you're not considering Joe Flacco a run threat. So it's 10 versus 11, where with the Ravens, it is truly 11 versus 11. And you can't just collapse that backside defensive end, because Lamar will pull it and run for 60 yards. So there is no better test for the Jets run defense. We've been talking about the run defense all off season, just in terms of like improvements and what exactly they're going to do, or what exactly are they going to do at certain positions, whether it be like, adding, Ogunjobi or whatever it may be. Obviously they didn't really add much of anything. And last year they were strict with their scheme. They didn't 2-gap guys like Foley Fatukasi. Now, was that because of they were being strict to their scheme, learn it in year 1, and then we'll kind of branch off after the fact? I don't know, but right now we can't say they made many additions that make you confident versus a Ravens run scheme, which should still be relatively heavy gap. Again, I'm not going to assume they're just going to start running a ton of zone. So,
no, I agree with you. I don't think they are either. I'm just saying, like, my only point with saying that is I just don't know how they'll be as dominant as they were in 2019, the year that Lamar won MVP. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, if the Jets are blowing run assignments and getting up the field and falling into a trap block and not even noticing it against the Patriots last year with Mac Jones, who is not a threat to run, it is concerning when Lamar Jackson is that one extra guy you have to account for. He makes one extra gap that you have to defend, and that's a big gap that you have to defend when you think of his level of speed. I've said this as far as I've been. I mean, listen, Randall Cunningham's a little bit before my time, but I watched a lot of Michael Vick, and in my opinion, Lamar Jackson is a better runner than Michael Vick ever was. I mean, could Michael Vick beat Lamar Jackson in a straight race, a straight 40 in their primes? Yeah, I think so. But in terms of, like, when you look at the violent cuts that Lamar Jackson made, and just I would say that his intelligence as a runner, I would give that to him over Michael Vick. Like Michael Vick had a lot of big runs on scrambles and stuff.
Mhm.
But Lamar Jackson, I mean, like, you want to talk about like they run some QB power and stuff, and just his ability to pull the ball on a read option. You didn't see too much of that with Michael Vick. So Lamar Jackson, he is different, man. He really is.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Vic was probably the faster. Like he's probably faster just in terms of straight line speed, but in terms of like the elusiveness they had, I would probably say it's Lamar over Mike Vick. But again, to be frank, obviously Vic was early mid 2000s, where I wasn't watching as closely, and Vic was obviously one of the best running quarterbacks of all time. But Lamar, I think, is a little bit different just in terms of his elusiveness. So it's going to be interesting to see how they contain the running game, because if they get down early against this running game, they're going to keep pounding it. And yeah, do I think guys like Whitehead, etc., help the Jets in terms of the run defense? Sure, but do I think that they're going to be able to go from like 32nd in the league to stopping what should be one of the best rushing teams in the entire NFL with Lamar Jackson and just their scheme in general? I'm not so sure, so I am nervous about it. But I am hoping, just
especially since Lamar's Jackson, healthy at this point. Like, so he was, like, he was banged up. He was dealing with an ankle before they shut him down at the end of last season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, like, now he's had all these months to rest up and heal. So, you have to imagine that he's going to run a good amount on Sunday.
Now I'm hoping that they're again able to blitz and shake Lamar Jackson a little bit. And I think the Jets, listen, do I think the Ravens I don't think they have the best receivers obviously in the world. We're not facing up against, the Stephon Diggs, the Tyreek Hills, the Jalen Waddles of the world. So I think they could take advantage a little bit there, obviously, if they do play well. And that will allow them to blitz. But with that being said, Kyle, the problem is, again, their number one strength of their offense is the running game. It was our number one weakness last year. Another huge weakness for the Jets past the run game is their play against tight ends. Oh, they only have Mark Andrews. So how do you match up against Mark Andrews too? Because again, their number 1 and 2 things are our number 1 and 2 weaknesses. So what do you do against him? Because listen, again, we addressed a lot of things. They didn't address linebacker in a huge way. They didn't address interior defensive lineman in a huge way. And they addressed safety with, Whitehead, but he's not necessarily the strongest, coverage guy. So are we kind of shit out of luck in terms of covering Mark Andrews as well?
I'm curious, you might have watched more Mark Andrews than me. How do they, so obviously he's one of the best tight ends in the league, but yeah, does he play a lot on the outside? Or like, is he one of these guys like,
well, I know the Ravens I don't think a lot of 12 and like attached like formations. He's not necessarily Kyle Pitts in terms of splitting him out. Like he's more traditional, but he's really good from where he's lined up at.
Okay. And does he dominate on like, more drags and like, little sits and curls and things like that? Or is he more like a seam type of guy?
So I could be wrong. And maybe if Aaron Butler is obviously, if he's going to be, real, obviously there's fans who just say everything's great about their player, but and he could beat everything. To me, when I watch the Ravens, whether it be watching, film of whoever it may be, Mark Andrews wins more against zone than he does like strictly against man. Again, that could be more of a feel thing. But with that being said, we're more of a zone team. He eats up against zone. So are we going to be able to match up against him? Again, it's a lot of passing stuff off. It's a lot of crossing routes. It's a lot of that stuff. So are we going to pass it off properly? Did Quincy suddenly become good in coverage? Quan, I think is decent in coverage, but he's nothing necessarily to write home about. So, I am nervous just both in terms of their running game, which is really strong, and their primary threat on offense in terms of the passing game is something that we struggle with. So the Jets do not match up well against this Ravens teams if we're being realistic. So
yeah, I mean, well, if the Jets want to run some Seattle Seahawks circa 2011, 12, 13, 14 and run very heavy cover 3, like they've been known to do at times, and especially since some of the Pete Carroll disciples, a la Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn, they certainly did way too much of that. I mean, if the Jets are going very vanilla cover 3, Andrews is going to eat them alive. So, yeah. You could do some more man match, but, a lot of that's also predicated on, well, is the player going to pick up the assignment properly? And Quincy,
exactly.
while you do love his athleticism, he does have brain farts every now and then.
It's just like funny that Lamar Jackson's like they show like his passing chart and it's like that top hat where like everything is up the middle and nothing.
Oh, can you pull that up? Can you
Where
pull that up if it's not too
I
much trouble?
I don't know if I have an
Okay,
actual
never mind.
picture of it,
Never mind.
but,
All right, so you're saying it's a top hat.
yeah, it's a top hat where everything is over the middle, nothing is outside the numbers. Where the Jets defense is strong outside the numbers and weak over the middle. So it's like it's kind of perfectly drawn up for their passing attack. Now listen, if the Jets were working all off season and they are going to zone match stuff, they're not going to just spot drop. Okay. But they never really shown that ability in the past. So can I just rely on that to start off the season? Not necessarily. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. Now, in terms of like the way that the offense, kind of talk about nervous, obviously, about their attack on us. Now, again, I think we could have an advantage against some of the receivers. Now, past obviously Bateman, okay, he's good, but are we scared of Devin Duvernay or
definitely not.
Crochet or any one of these guys or Tylan Wallace? No. So if
I'm being honest, I'm not even scared about Bateman too. I really think that Sauce will lock him up. I mean, I don't know if. See, this is. I was actually talking with Michael Nania in a private conversation, and I'm really curious to see how the Jets are going to play Sauce. Listen, we saw him in preseason, right? But week 1 could be a totally different thing. Like, are they going to have Sauce travel? Like the way that Revis did. I mean, because listen, some people compared Sauce to Sherman, which I don't think it's a great comparison other than the height, because Sherman doesn't have the level of athleticism that Sauce has. Mm-hmm. And Sauce played a lot of man coverage in college. I don't know about Sherman, but Sherman was always, a heavy zone corner in the league. So are they going to have Sauce travel? And let's say they do. Okay,
I don't think they're going to, honestly, Kyle. Like just based on the way they're playing in the preseason, where he's only out to the right of the offense, the left of the defense. I don't know if they're going to.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. If that's the case, then you are misusing a vital piece to your defense. I'm not saying, of course, you cannot do that all the time, and it's not many guys do it. I mean, like Revis obviously did it. Ramsey does it a good bit. There's not many corners that do it a lot. I mean, even though Terrell's locked down, I don't think that he really travels with receivers over in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But I do think that Sauce has this ability. I mean, like when I say that I think he can be the best corner in the league. I'm not like, so anyway, the point is I think that if the Jets wanted to have him travel with Bateman, hey, listen, you lock him up. I really think he could do it. I wouldn't be really worried, but again, well, we're going to see with this Jets coaching staff, Joe, because, last year was not good. You added a good amount of talent this year. All right, let's put up or shut up.
Now, and we're going to get to the depth chart. Maybe that'll spark some conversations about necessarily how to attack this Ravens team. But we kind of talk about the offense in general, which, again, their two major strengths are two of our major weaknesses, at least from last year. Now, looking towards the ways we can attack the Ravens defense, I think it's pretty simple. Like not necessarily simple, but their secondary is very strong. Again, you have Marcus Peters, who is more of a risky corner just in terms of taking chances, obviously coming off a big injury. And Marlon Humphrey had an injury last year, or wasn't as strong last year, but it's still considered a strength. So you're looking at the interior of their defensive line and some of their linebackers. And of course, I stopped sharing my screen exactly when I needed it to be shared. But are you seeing the Ravens depth chart right now? Or are you seeing?
Okay. You just pulled it up.
But you look at the interior of the defensive line. Okay, Michael Pierce, obviously a little bit older, still relatively formidable. Calais Campbell, again, pretty old at this point, but still a formidable player. Justin Matabuki, Broderick Washington, Travis Jones. So I don't know if he's going to play. Brett Urban. I'm not saying it's a weakness for the Ravens. I don't really think there is much of a glaring weakness on this team. But in terms of what did you want to attack? Do you want to attack the secondary or this defensive line? You want to attack the defensive line, and then their linebackers. Listen, you're talking about Justin Houston, Josh Bynes, Patrick Queen, O'Day Owe, who's like more of like a pass rusher at this point. Again, I don't know how necessarily he's developed, but if anything on this Ravens team, you want to attack their front seven. So to me, you're going to see that kind of plays into the Jets' strength just in terms of, okay, they want to run the ball. Now, how much are the Jets ready to run the ball just in terms of, okay, who is playing tackle for the team and how much continuity do they have, in relation to their ability to pass off things in zone and not, have those mental hic or those brain lapses. But in general, again, kind of getting back to it, attack them in the running game, hopefully set up the play action pass, and then you attack guys like a Marcus Peters.
Yeah, throw some double moves on him.
So that's I think the Jets are going to try to get up early. Obviously, every team wants to do that, but ground control. If you're going to win this game, Kyle, it's not going to be a 33-30 shootout with the Ravens. It's going to be
you're going to need a couple big plays,
20-17 type game where you're going to be able to contain them. And I hope now that's obviously harder said than done, but I think if anything, the Jets are going to try to hold that ball, keep Lamar Jackson on the sideline, and just run it down their throats. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you told me that the Jets offensive line did run it up a little bit on guys like Owe and Patrick Queen and Justin Houston and Michael Pierce, I think that's the way to win this game is to run the ball and obviously set up some deep shots, set up some explosive plays to guys like Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson down the field.
Yeah, no, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, they need to have a consistent running game. I mean, listen, you got both backs healthy right now with Michael Carter and Breece Hall. So run them consistently. Obviously, the line's probably not going to be what you want it to be. I mean, even if Dwayne Brown plays, is he 100%? Like, is he going to be exactly what he is? Like, he's probably still getting into game shape, if we're being honest. But they need to have a consistent run game and then some play action, right? Like, so one of the things about play action is double moves take time to develop, right? So if you run some play action, maybe get the safeties biting up a little bit. You throw a double move, someone like a Marcus Peters, right? Like he's ballsy, right? He likes to jump balls. But Elijah Moore, he sells his breaks really well. You can get him over the top. If you can get 1-2 shots downfield, that right there could be a game changer. And like you said too, you don't want to have Corey Davis run those types. I mean, like, listen, every receiver's healthy. Corey Davis, you want him, running majority of his routes like over the middle and stuff. But Garrett Wilson too, like I'd also like, them to potentially maybe take a shot with him too. Maybe not on a straight vertical ball, but maybe like a post, right? Like he ran some he ran some nice posts. Like I think it's like maybe your second play of your Garrett Wilson review, part 1. He ran a really sick post route there. So it's going to be interesting. I saw Harold in the chat probably maybe like an hour ago said that this Ravens secondary is a little bit overrated. I can't say, just on paper, what we're looking at on the screen right now, it's got to be one of the most impressive secondaries in the entire league, right? Like you're talking like Marcus Peters is a multiple-time Pro Bowler, Humphrey, same deal. Kyle Fuller, right? Kyle Fuller, you want to talk about, he's been one of the better slot corners over the last 5-6 plus years. Now, I don't know how much he's fallen off. And then Hamilton, right? Okay. We've had our gripes with him, but he's still a high draft pick. And then Marcus Williams, he signed an absolutely monster contract with them. So like really doesn't seem to be any weakness in that secondary. So if you're going to go out and pass the ball 60-65% in this game, that's not a winning business model.
Yeah. Now looking at their roster again, nothing to write home about at receiver. Now is that because listen, at the end of the day, it almost like it works to their advantage and not to their advantage. Like the fact that they have some of these like lower tier receivers obviously means that they're going to block as well, which is a big part of their system. They're not necessarily going to have divas, so it kind of plays to their advantage in that sense. But again, Bateman, Duvernay, Prochet, Wallace, Demarcus Robinson, it's definitely a lower tier receiving group in the NFL. I think Bateman could evolve into a good receiver, but even past that, there's really nothing to write home about. So I'm not overly concerned with the receivers, just in one-on-one.
You got to say Duvernay's got to be one of the worst 2s in the league. Prochet, I mean, like he was like a really late draft pick if he even was drafted. And then, Demarcus Robinson, dude, he was complete jag with his time with the Chiefs. He sucked actually.
And then looking at the offensive line too, I think Ronnie Stanley is going to be out. So you're probably playing Jawan James, Ben Powers, Linderbaum, who listen, like he's a highly touted prospect, but in game 1, should a guy like Quentin Williams take advantage of Linderbaum? You'd hope so. If not, it's going to be a problem. And then Kevin Zeitler, okay, obviously he's good. Morgan Moses is a average at best tackle. So it's not like this Ravens offensive line is stacked up, or the receiver group is stacked up. It's the fact that it's their scheme. It's Lamar Jackson. And it's Mark Andrews, but the offensive line, the receivers in general don't really scare me, but past that, obviously having Patrick Ricard, having Lamar Jackson, having Mark Andrews are the scary parts. Now the running backs, looking at them, J.K. Dobbins, I think is going to be out. So you're looking at Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake, Justice Hill. Again, not necessarily the most stacked up group you've ever seen in the before Kyle, but at the same time, we got shredded up by Duke Johnson last year. So,
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I mean, like I watched some of Dobbins' tape, not a ton, a little bit when he was in Ohio State, and he did look to be a pretty impressive back, but he did deal with a big injury. So has he rebounded from that injury? I think it was a knee injury. I think it was an ACL, which nowadays, okay, like some players, 20-something years ago, Terrell Davis was never the same after an ACL tear. Nowadays, the surgeries are a lot better. But, I mean, past him, I'm not impressed by any of these guys. No Gus Edwards. So, but Lamar Jackson's basically another running back out there. So,
yeah. Now looking at their defense again, their defensive line, I think is it's a lot of names, but I don't think necessarily they're up this. Like, they're not living up to their names. Or at least their past names. Like Calais Campbell is 33 years old at this point. I think
he's older than that, man. I think he's like 35, 36.
Is he? Jesus. So you have him who's older, Michael Pierce who's older, and obviously not going to offer much in terms of the pass rush. I think Travis Jones is out. Brent Urban, okay. Justin Matabuki, Odafe Owe, Queen. I'm not really super scared about their front seven. So again, I think if the Jets are going to take advantage of their defense, it is running the ball. Now, again, the Jets did not run the ball great in the preseason. So can they take advantage? I don't know. But their secondary, like you said, you could poke maybe a hole or two, like just in terms of like a player. Like, okay, Marcus Peters was injured and he takes risk. He's still a good corner. Kyle Fuller, like you said, one of the best slot corners in the league, at least a couple of years ago. Now I'm not so sure, but still a relatively good player. Marlon Humphrey, down year last year, but still very good. Marcus Williams considered one of the better safeties in the league. And then you have some good depth, just in terms of having guys like Kyle Hamilton backing him up. Chuck Clark, more of a box safety, not necessarily the best coverage guy, but still it's a strong secondary. I'm not going to look at that and say, oh, the Jets should definitely take advantage of it. So,
yeah, I mean, it'd be another thing. Like if you had, let's say you had this Jets receiving core, and you had Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Justin Herbert back there, okay, then, we're not going to play scared. We're going to test and see how good your secondary is. But at this point, you have a backup quarterback who's starting. So you need to have a heavy dose of run game. And the thing about this, the thing about, okay, like even if passing, like teams move the ball better when they pass, sure. There's a reason why teams run the ball a good amount too. Number one, run sets up the pass. Number two, it controls the game clock. But number three, you're less likely to get turnovers, right? Like you're less likely to fumble the ball and lose the ball that way than you are to throw an interception. So you have to be careful when you have a ball hawking secondary like that. So the Jets, I mean, they have to stay with the run game, even if even when it's not working, sometimes just repeatedly hitting it, and then later in the game, defenses start to get tired. And then you can break a run. Even if it's not working, you got to stick with it all game unless you get down big.
Okay, so yeah, I completely agree with you. And Kyle, I want to ask you a few questions about the Jets roster, and then we'll get into the chat just to close up the show. But a couple of burning questions just in terms of like the depth chart, and it kind of leads to some questions we actually have because I'm not necessarily going to trust our lads. But to start off the season, do you think it is Braxton Berrios to start off in the slot over Garrett Wilson?
I don't think it is, Joe. I really don't think so. You drafted Wilson 10th overall, and so Salah had this thing this summer where, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. The rookie's got to earn it. Oh, so Bryce Hall's a starter, and then Sauce basically earned it, right? Okay, yeah. I think it's the same deal with Garrett Wilson, man. Like they were when I was at the training camp practices, they were putting him with the second and third team. Like, come on, man. Garrett Wilson is clearly a more talented, more valuable receiver than Braxton Berrios, even at this point in their career.
I think initially it'll be closer to a 50-50 split than we probably think, just because of Berrios' familiarity with the scheme. And I think just, again, we talked about it last week, in terms of them not having a Wesco or a Bawden, I think that Berrios is going to be used as a gadget guy, probably, again, a little bit more than we think. And they're going to use that to hold some defenses, like the backside end or the backside linebacker or the safety, just get guys moving gaps. I think they're going to threaten that a lot to open up some holes in the run game. So I think he will be used a little bit more than maybe I expected a couple of weeks ago, but I still think it is Garrett Wilson over him. Now the offensive line, Kyle, let's say Dwayne Brown is out, the worst case scenario. Is it Max Mitchell at right tackle and George Fant at left tackle? Would that be your most ideal ideal with
ideal if I couldn't get a guy in the building, and honestly, even if I did get a guy in the building at midweek for a game, is that even ideal? No, it is ideal in a very, very, very imperfect world. Yes. Somebody asked that same exact question when you went to go tinkle, and that was my answer.
Now looking at the rest of the depth chart, Conklin over Uzama. To me, Uzama will be more. He'll be more of the blocker, like the run blocker, than Conklin will.
Both of those guys are going to play so much. Both of them are going to be in and out. They're going to be some of them. Sometimes you might see both those guys play every snap on any given series, and sometimes you might see them, come in and out. One play here, out for the next play there on a given series. But they're both going to play a ton.
Okay. Yeah. And now with the running backs, there was the quote, I forget, maybe it was from LaFleur, who said that Michael Carter is the heartbeat of this offense. Do you think it's Carter to see more reps off the jump, or do you think it's going to be Hall running away with it? Because I think towards or when he was drafted, I said that it's going to be 50% Breece Hall, 35% Michael Carter, 15% other. Have you swayed off of that opinion at all? And especially to start off the season?
It almost makes you think, the fact that they kept Ty Johnson, that it would be closer to like 10% for whoever that third running back is. But but do you want to wear these guys out though? Like, do you want to wear out Michael Carter and Breece Hall? So it could be 15% for that other back. I think that it could be closer to, I almost think that like Michael Carter and Breece Hall at the beginning of the season, they're almost going to get like 50-50 carry. Yeah, it's almost going to be even. But I think as the season progresses, Breece is going to start to get a bigger share of the carries, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Which, by the way, Kyle, really quickly, because are you going to leave strictly at 8:00?
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we'll keep running through the depth chart, and then you'll give your score prediction. I'll run through the chats for like the last 10 minutes because I do want to watch the game. So I'll probably stay on for another couple of minutes and just address some stuff in the chat. But Dwayne Brown, did you end up watching that review?
Not yet. I'll get to it on Saturday. Okay,
so moving on though to the defense. Now, burning question with the defense is Lamar Jackson. They're athletic. John Franklin Myers on the edge. Is that the smart move against the Baltimore Ravens, or do you want to see JFM play more inside, even on rundowns, against this team specifically because they're going to attack the edges? And do you want to replace the JFM on the edge with a with or Jermaine Johnson type of player? Like, how do you think, or even well, maybe not Michael Clemens. I don't think Michael Clemens is absurdly more athletic than JFM, but Jermaine Johnson, I would say, is just in terms of edge presence. But do they play JFM on the edge? Because if it's one-on-one with him, and obviously one-on-one with Lamar Jackson and any of the players, it's not necessarily the best shot. But JFM and containing Lamar Jackson on the edge, I'm not so comfortable about it.
I'd rather have JJ on the edge defending Lamar Jackson.
So then, do you think that kicks JFM inside to where Solomon Thomas is? Because is he the starting guy alongside?
I'd rather have JFM, shutting down the run on the interior than Solomon Thomas.
Okay.
And certainly more than Sheldon Rankins, certainly.
Yeah, so I think that's what they're going to have to do. I'm not confident in JFM playing the edge. Again, I think Jermaine Johnson has a long way to go as a pass rusher. And holy shit, Kyle, people are starting to see that now. Obviously not trying to dump on the player, but we said that since April. But with this game, I would like to see his edge presence because he is a good edge setter and is good at containing guys in the open field, at least more in like a specialized role with this game. But moving on, Quincy Williams, I think it is Quan who's going to start over Quincy. Mosley, obviously he's going to be starting. Past that, okay, not much difference than what it says here. Reed is going to start. Sauce is going to start. Michael Carter in the slot. Joyner at free. Whitehead at strong. Tony Adams, did you watch that review?
Yeah, I told you that on during our draft. Yeah, I like Tony Adams. Geez, I'm under a little bit of pressure right now to try to recollect some of the plays.
Yeah. Because I want to do that, Kyle. Just quick thoughts on that, and then give me your score prediction.
Listen, Tony Adams. Listen, clearly his tape is better than Pinnock's. Granted, it's only preseason tape versus we had some actual game footage of real live games of Pinnock. But Tony Adams, like I like the way that he's patient, waiting for the running back to decide their running lane, and then he shoots. in terms of coverage, he's not the most athletic dude in the world. Well, actually, I take that back. There's sometimes, he did get caught up on that one touchdown play where he was a little late to react on the goal line. But I thought he was pretty solid overall, just to give some really, really quick thoughts. We could talk more about him at another time.
Okay, so Kyle, before you leave and I get to the chat again, I'm going to fly through it in like 10 minutes, but I want to give people their due respect. Overall thoughts in this game. You're walking in. We walk in at 12. We don't walk in at 12:30. So we're walking in at 12 o'clock. You sit down. What's going to happen? What is the score going to be of this game?
I've been pretty negative over the years with the Jets, especially when I was hoping that they were tanking. But I think really in my heart of hearts, I am an optimist. And there is a big part of me that wants to pick the Jets. And, when I look at like the Ravens receiving core, I'm like, man, we can shut these guys down. But then I think of the run game. Anyway, we're home. We have a backup quarterback. I think it's going to be close. I do not think the Ravens are going to blow us out. I want to pick the Jets to win. But it's tough, and I want to try to be realistic. I'll say 23-20 Ravens.
23-20, so we cover the spread.
Yeah, what is the spread?
I think it's 6.5 or 7, so we'd cover.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, man.
Okay. Yeah, Kyle, before you go, I will see my score. It's going to be 27-20 Ravens. I would love nothing more to come back on Monday with hungover 12 o'clock in the afternoon talking about a Jets win with you guys on a live stream. With the fact that the Jets, again, really struggle against gap teams, going against a gap-heavy team with Lamar Jackson, and a team who struggled against tight ends, going against one of the top 3 to 5 tight ends in the league, if you can argue the best in terms of receiving tight end. Obviously, Kelsey, whatever, over him, but still. And then past that, you're talking about Joe Flacco. So I'm not going to predict the win, even though I would absolutely love to walk out of MetLife Stadium with a win. So I'll say they keep it relatively close. It's 27-20 Ravens, which again is at least competitive. I would take that at that point. So, Kyle, any last words before you jump off? I adjusted the chat really, really quickly before I jump off and watch this game.
No, it was fun, and looking forward to doing this on a weekly basis during the season this year. So, I'll see you guys next week, and enjoy the game. All right, Joe. Nice talking to you.
All right, and we will see Kyle next week. Obviously, he's going to be joining us weekly. Nani is going to join us most weeks, but not every week. He had some schedule stuff come up every week, so we'll talk about that. But let me run through your chats and see if you guys have anything kind of overarching that we're discussing. Let's see. Again, I'm going to do this lightning round because I think the game starts at 8:15, 8:20, fellows. So I want to be able to just give myself a second to watch the beginning of this game. Which I've worked tonight too, but I'm just going to be tired. It is what it is. You gotta watch the first game. Max Mitchell should start. Yes, that is the case. Pug Life also want 0 Ashton Davis sightings on defense, 1,000%. Sorry if you can hear my dog up there. My wife decides to vacuum now. She's not the smartest. 0 Ashton Davis sightings. That's another one of the keeps I do not like from the 53-man roster. Keep on. Marcus Cannon is better than McDermott, so I would take it. DX or DKBX Jets. Let's see. Oh, you're talking about the puppy. Yeah, he got. I think he was like 6 pounds. We got him. He's like 15 or 16 now. So let's see. The problem Jets roster will have on the field week 1 is handling and absorbing Ravens brand of football on both sides of the ball. Ravens true grit and physicality will overwhelm. I think it's a part of it that they do play physical. I think the Jets will be up to the task for the physicality. If anything, they do play. They do seem to play pretty hard, but at the same point, they have a lot to prove. Do I think that the Ravens are going to walk in here and bully the Jets and make the Jets cower down? No. Bring in guys like Whitehead, bring in guys like Reed, bring in guys like Tomlinson, who have seen some reps. In Super Bowls. I don't think that they're going to cower down to the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens are some big bad bullies going to come in and make the Jets cower down. I think they have a good run scheme, good talent, a quarterback, and a good tight end. But I don't think they're going to walk in and bully the Jets necessarily. I'm not necessarily subscribing to that. But we'll see. So the Ravens know how to win more than the Jets do. Obviously, they haven't necessarily made it to the dance over the last couple of years. So it's not like they've been the king of the AFC, but they were also ridiculously injured last year. And I do give them credit. They're a good team. I think they're going to finish as a playoff team. Again, I just don't think they're going to bully the Jets, so Reed has been practicing. So it looks good. Obviously there's been a lot of stuff going on the last couple of days, just in Jet stuff and in general. So I didn't follow it today, but him practicing is good. Obviously we rather have DJ Reed over Bryce Hall. Right. So, Ranilla asked Blewett, not positive. What did he ask? Stephen Angle did not know that. What was asked, guys? I apologize if I missed it. Yeah, I don't know. Jake says that Ravens fans front seven plus the integration of a new scheme shouldn't intimidate anyone. Expect bigger games from Carter, Hall, Conklin. Yeah. No, I agree. Their middle of the defense is not it's not the 2000 Ravens with Ray Lewis and all of these guys. Their defensive front it's solid or decent, but it's nothing to write home about. And their linebackers aren't great. So if the Jets are going to win this game, it's running the ball consistently down their throat and keeping Lamar Jackson off the field. But I'm not scared of their run defense like I was a few years ago. That's for sure. So, but yeah, Reed playing is obviously good too. Rendilla, I don't know. Ask me whatever question you're asking. I can't find it though, but I'm gonna keep running through. Do the Jets run a lot of dime? Do they run a lot of nickel? Do they get a lot of DBs on the field to contain Lamar Jackson, make him step up into the pocket where you hopefully have Q and JFM waiting? I think that's going to be a part of it too. Let your D tackles do the work as a pass rusher. Now, obviously, you want the edge rushers, Carl Lawson, all these guys to do it as well. But making Lamar Jackson step up into the pocket, it's a lot better than him stepping at, evading the pocket and working towards the sideline. So if they can pinch him a little bit, then Q and guys like that are going to have to step up and get some pressure on him. So that should be what they do, but we'll see. Moving on through anything I see in here that's overarching. Lamar struggles with cover zero. Yeah, quick processing, where to get the ball out, hots, things like that. You want to hit him quick, and I think that's where you see him struggling. We saw, the Chargers did that in that playoff game. Now, obviously, they've adjusted to that since that point, so it's not necessarily going to be a thing that they're not going to expect. But at the same point, even if they expect it, make them beat it. I'm not running 4-man drops or 4-man rushes versus Lamar Jackson with soft zone coverage. That's absolutely not going to happen because he will absolutely shred you. You just cannot give him time to dance around the pocket. Again, pinch him, make him step up, throw a lot of blitzes from different places where he doesn't expect. Make him process, make him throw outside the numbers, not over the middle. Stack that middle. Throw brackets, throw cones on Mark Andrews and double him. Don't make guys like Devin Duvernay and James Prochet and all these guys beat you. Don't let Mark Andrews rip you up for 100 yards, which is obviously easier said than done. But so okay. $90 to park my first game in 20 years. Is it really $90 to park? Where are you parking, Robert? If you wanted to, you can always take the bus over and tailgate at J1 because parking is ridiculous. Let's see. Can you block this spot? Yeah, I don't know where the mods are. I gotta throw an extra mod in because this one was sitting out here. So no Mike or Eagle are in here apparently, but we'll work on that. Throw another mod in there. Lamar hasn't played well in one playoff game. Embarrassing came. Oh, okay, we're just talking some shit here. Lamar's still good. We Jets fans would die for Lamar Jackson at this point. Quan and Mosley can hand over the middle. Mosley, sure. Am I confident in Quan handling over the middle against Mark Andrews? No. That's kind of a twofold thing. Like, is he generally decent over the middle? Sure, but against one of the top receiving threats at tight end in the entire NFL, I'm going to take Mark Andrews over Quan Alexander all day. So they're going to have to scheme it up in terms of cones and brackets on the inside. So Mark doesn't play. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Aaron. It's more traditional inline wide tight end stuff with him. Now he'll flex out a little bit, but like not as like an ISO, like a 3x1 type deal. He'll be detached, but barely. That's more of what I've seen. Again, I don't chart the Ravens or anything like that. So let's see. Oh, we got some trolls back in here. That's great. Okay. It's gonna happen though. A lot of the Ravens fans are gonna come here and talk some shit to Jets fans. But listen, at the end of the day, if the Jets win, awesome. We didn't expect it. If the Ravens lose, it's gonna be disappointing for them. So we can talk a bunch of shit. We kind of expect to lose, right? That's fine. We're used to that. Awesome. All right, I got a couple of minutes before the game starts. I want to run through the rest of the 20 minutes of the chat. Joe, did you name your dog Klecko? My dog's name is Grover, not Klecko. I fought a little bit for I forget what it was. Thor? I think it was Thor. No, Zeus. I fought for Zeus for a little bit. It didn't really work out. But I think, small dog Zeus, kind of funny. It didn't really work out, though. Joe, I want you to pay special detail to Ravens defensive interior line. It'll be dominating force behind our defense. You are mistaken. Remember I said this? It's okay. Based on what? Their players aren't necessarily the most well-regarded. They were a couple of years ago. If this was 2016, sure. But now, could it happen? Yeah. At the end of the day, it could. Again, we talk about like, oh, it's Mike Davis. We're playing Mike Davis. That should be easy. We got ripped up versus what's his face last year? Duke Johnson. So could it happen? Yeah. Especially when you look at the Jets defensive line or Jets offensive line. You saw them struggle in preseason. Game 3 against the Giants, you're talking about a backup defensive line and the ground game didn't really produce as much as we want them to. So if they can't take advantage of Giants backups, are going to take advantage of Ravens starters? I'm not guaranteeing that, but I'm not scared of the Jets or of the Ravens interior defensive line. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see in 4 days. I think there's any way the Jets could beat them. It's by sustaining long drives and taking advantage of the Ravens defensive line and some of their linebackers. Again, like guys like Justin Houston, I'm not necessarily the most nervous about containing the run. So let's see. Do we want the ball offensively for the first half or defer and kick it? I'm typically a kick guy, but against the Ravens, I would like to start fast, get up early on them, make them hopefully have to pass it a little bit more than run it. Now, do I think they're going to kind of get off of their ground game, even if we score early? Probably not. But I would like to set the tone and knock it down. I can't imagine kicking the ball off them scoring, then already working from 7-0 down. Like I would like to get the ball, score, set the tone a little bit in this game. Don't play scared. If that's a good way to look at it. So Ravens Nation, yeah. I see like a lot of like Ravens fans, Bills fans, Dolphins fans, Raiders fans. Do they have live streams? Or do they not? Lamar pisses away the best defense in the league until he gets to the playoffs. Ravens fans are cocky, huh? I think they're going to win too, but pretty cocky for a team who hasn't won in quite a few years, at least when it matters. So, wow, their sizes. You know who's also like 6'7", 305? Henry Anderson. We're talking about size. This is we're scared of people's sizes now. It's kind of silly. Aaron Butler. We can just go Mekhi Becton 370. Like, who cares? Are they good players or not? Doesn't matter. They're all fucking big. No. Let's see. Kenny, it's not as bad. Listen, tackle, yes, and quarterback at this point, but versus last year, it's nothing. Are you going to do an after show after the game? Chris, I will be in MetLife Stadium. I will probably be getting home at 7, 8 o'clock. Very, very tired from drinking all day and wanting to sleep with no voice. I will do a show probably on Monday, maybe if I'm feeling it, like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Just recapping the game quickly. But I'm not going to be doing a show after the game. There's no way. So go Rams. Agree on that. Let's see. Okay. The second game name is. I'm thinking about it. I'm already missing a little bit of the puppy stage with the dog. He's getting a little bit more to where he's going to level out to in terms of size. So I'm missing the puppy aspect. Rams 31, Bills 28. I'm rooting for the Rams too, obviously, for sure. Every NFL fan base comes to Jets stream because Jets YouTube is the best. True, I agree. A lot of good content creators, and apparently they don't have any streams to go on at a Thursday night at 8 o'clock, but it is what it is. Chris Reynolds, I'm way behind you guys, but that was the big story last year regarding captains when Tua wasn't named cap. Oh, good point. Yeah, see, I'm not as up on the NFL as I should be with like who is named captains on the team. Tua or Trey Lance, you guys are talking about, obviously have a heavy focus on the Jets with running the website. But with that being said, kickoff in about 3 minutes-ish. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy football. Good luck with your fantasy football rosters, unless you're playing me in the JetX League. I will be there Sunday, 8 o'clock, J1. for most of the time. I don't know if I'm going to migrate a little bit, but probably not very much. So if you're trying to find me at J1, bring your beers, bring burgers, bring dogs, bring cornhole, bring whatever. Definitely looking forward to it. The way to reach me, if you're trying to get to the game and like, oh, are you there? Whatever. Obviously JoRB31 on Twitter. You could DM me there. Ask me questions about the tailgate. What's the best way to get there? What to bring, whatever, which again, just bring what you're eating and drinking. And then past that, you can email me to Joe.Blewett, BLEWETT @jetsxfactor.com. Looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys at the game. And let's drink and have fun in the tailgate, at the tailgate, and hope that the Jets don't disappoint us at 1 o'clock, 1:05 when they're already down. Let's root for a win, at least a good game. And we'll be back here to break down the film and discuss it.